Good day, Uncle Cal. How you doing? It's so good to see you. I was trying to be early today, or at least on time. I'll take on time. I ain't got to be early. I'll take on time. I was trying to find me a bicycle. You know, I added that to the list of things that I'm going to need while I'm prepping. While we prepping for the future. Everybody, it don't matter what we got and how much money we got and stuff like everybody. It do matter because you can get what you need, you know, to get through this and stuff. But it don't matter because everybody finna go through this. Everybody finna go through this. You know, even this meteor or missile, whatever coming, everybody is finna go through it. And they finna get some of it and stuff. It's gonna be a little easier for those with money and stuff like that, of course. But they don't get excused from any of this judgment that's coming down. Ain't nobody able to get out of it. Ain't nobody exempt. Ain't nobody exempt. Not from this judgment right here. And that's exactly what's happening. But you know, I digress. I digress. I feel grateful to be here for it. I remember in the past and stuff, I remember one of our ancestors had said it's a wonderful time to be alive, an exciting time to be alive. I forgot who it was that said it. And the same is true today, too. It's an exciting time to be alive. This change that's happening, life will never be the same. We can never go back to life how it was before with nobody ever again. From this point on, Black America got to be for Black America. That's it and that's all. That ain't harming nobody else. You ain't saying that other groups of people is harming anybody else because they sticking to their own. They building for their own. So they don't need to come at us like we are against other people and stuff. Sure don't, because life ain't gonna never be saying. Everybody know it. Everybody know this. They ought to feel a motherfucking shame about themselves for condoning this and thinking that we, us, men, you, wasn't gonna never wake up. We weren't gonna never start paying attention. See, they thought we were fools and dummies. That's what it was. They thought we were gonna be a fool and a dummy and not catch on to what's been happening. You know, but we did. We did. And now life will never be the same. We ain't going back. We're not going to let them take us back. Whatever they taking from us and stuff, that's even more reason, more motivation to let judgment have its way. Let judgment have its way. That's all I got to say about it, honey. I can't do nothing about anything that's taking place. And if I could, I can't say that I would. I can 100 years of lynching, for real, literally eating Black people. I can't say I would step in the way for any type of mercy, leniency. However, cosmic energy want to mete out this judgment. Ain't that what your Bible said? Mete it out. God will mete out that judgment. Then so be it. So be it. As far as I'm concerned. Copyright disclaimer under 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news support, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is the use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Yeah, I've been biting on my damn gums again, trying to eat. But I think I read this better now that I done memorized it. Now that I can just spill it on out. But when I'm reading from it and stuff, see, that's how our mind works. Once we learn something, you know it. We know it, especially if we do it repetitiously. Yeah, that's it. Repetitiously. Yeah, it becomes like second nature to us and stuff. It's so magnificent. It is exciting. We learning about ourselves. We finally learned about our ancestors. We got a new focus. We got a new direction. Now, you can't do nothing but go up from here if we take this opportunity, though. We don't take this opportunity, them folks gonna be able to call checkmate. In Black America, I don't know what checkmate means, but I got an idea. But you know, I digress. But yeah, we're reading POWERNOMICS. I want to just finish the book today, but it's too much for me. But yeah, we on chapter 5. Let me see. Maybe we'll read to chapter 7. You know, I'm trying to get to chapter 7 because my people, we fighting for reparations. This debt that must be paid. I don't deny it. I can't deny it. I will not deny that my people, my ancestors, got a debt that's owed to them. It's a valid debt. It's true. It's unpaid. It's hurtful. It's hurting us. All of this that's wrapped in together. So I can't do nothing now that I'm aware of things, but assist them, assist my people to that end. That's why I'm really trying to learn as we're reading POWERNOMICS, because wherever I can be of assistance in our demand for reparations, I'm here for it. That's why I'm reading this. Yeah, and you know what I think? You already know what I think. Don't burn no more motherfucking money when you owe Black America reparations. Why would you melt all the coins when you owe Black America? When you owe Black America, what? First, it ain't good enough just pissing on us. Now you're literally gonna shit on us, burning all the money instead of paying Black America what you owe us. See, that's why judgment coming down. That's why judgment coming down. But nevertheless, we still got to be of assistance to our people. That's it, and that's all. So, you know, I got to do my part. If that resonate with you, you got to do your part too. We can't be like, oh, well, I don't want my checks, so I ain't even gonna help y'all fight for it. Fuck that dumb shit. That is dumb as fuck. That's like telling us, oh, I don't live in that house, so I got to keep my water. It's on fire. I got to keep my water. I don't live over there. We got to stop with the petty. Stop with the petty bullshit. The fear that we scared. We can't even admit that white America got us scared as fuck to do anything about us. Go on and tell it. Go on and tell it, honey. We will buff up at sister, brother, mama, daddy, cousin, auntie, neighbor, niece, nephew. But I asked one buck up at white folks. You won't stand up and tell white folk, look at here. Your ass claim you want to do something. You know, I for all the love for Black America, pull out the stop. Tell your people, round together for the love of Black people that you claim you have, and save that money. Save that money and resend it to us. Reroute all the wealth, the money, the coins, the gold too. You going to a cashless society? You're going to a cashless society. Can y'all asses at least start the motherfucking conversation? For all the love of Black people. I mean, you said you love tall, dark, and handsome. Cut the bullshit. You ain't talking about coffee, god damn it. Dr. Francis Cress Wilson said your ass is talking about the Black man. That's your tall, dark, and handsome. So, you know, on behalf of all the tall, dark, and handsome, and they mama, and they grandma, can your ass start the conversation and the paperwork to send that money, reroute all that money to Black America so we can use it? Because you know, Sabrina, Karen, Brad, Ken, Becky, you know there's a debt that must be paid. Everybody do. I'm just saying, let's get to chapter 7. Yeah, honey. We're going to read 2 chapters tonight. And I picked out our midnight reading with the ancestors. It's going back to slavery. Going back to slavery, but I got a little, a little more control now over things and stuff. It's been a few books. I've been processing too. It's difficult for me because I ain't no motherfucking dummy. I ain't no dummy. You don't make me no fool and a dummy. Shit. When I say my mama taught me, my mama taught me. I might have been born last night, but it wasn't last night. Oh, no, honey. No, you ain't finna do that to Black America. A lot of us, you better go back to how your mama taught you. Stop using all them defense mechanisms on our own people when it ain't even deserved. You ain't got to look at me like I'm finna do something, you take something from you. Hell, what you got? What do you got? We ain't got to do us like that. Your ass better be looking at white folks again. Hell, I just seen sister saying that they still in houses. Sister was out of the country, the state, or something. Mind a home, benefited home business. Honey, sister came back. This man done got the deed to her house, done moved everything outside. Done took over everything. Yeah. You're going to look at A and B, look at C too. Don't just be looking upside our head like we the threat. Because you know damn well Black America ain't the threat to anybody or anything. Stop playing with us, lying and shit. Yeah, I got time today. I sure do. I might be on this motherfucker to 4 o'clock if my ancestors say so. But if they don't, I'm going to get off like 1:30. But let's read chapter 5. And we still on POWERNOMICS by Dr. Claud Anderson. Dr. Claud Anderson. And I just want to say that, yeah, I heard a little bit about the controversy with Dr. Claud Anderson. And, I didn't finish looking at it and stuff. And I'm not saying that I will, because I need the message. I love the man, but we need this message. We need this message. Everybody done, I don't know what y'all calling and stuff. Everybody done sideswiped us in some way or another. But you still got to take that message. You still need that message. And I don't think Dr. Claud done did, and I love Dr. Claud Anderson. I want to talk to Dr. Claud Anderson. I sure do. I bet them people that gave him the negative and shunned him and didn't give his works no attention, no effort. I bet they ass so shame right today. They ought to be some shameful, sorry ass, remorseful though, and want to repair things. Because they the ones been up there and been holding us back this whole time. This book, we 20 years late with this book. So yeah, I just want to finish it and know what to do after this. Let's maximize so we can read, honey. Chapter 5, Practicing Group Economics. The Black race enriched every group on earth. Now it must enrich itself. We 20 years late with this part. We so very late embracing us, forgiving us, loving us. Yeah, let's get on track now. Just 3 months into the 21st century, 2 of this nation's most respected sources of economic information laid out the case for Black America to build its own alternative economy and began practicing group economics. On March 14, 2000, the Wall Street Journal ran a 2-page story on wealth building in America, from the Civil War to present time. The article detailed the history of boom and bust cycles in the United States economy and concluded that the nation is in the midst of the longest period of economic prosperity and expansion in its history. Honey, America going through the boom and the bust, getting everything, honey. Yes. Boom. America. Yes. Let's see where we was at. The current economic boom period began in the early 1990s, but the journal article revealed that whether this nation was in a boom or a bust period, Black Americans, unlike any other population group, remained in an economic depression. We ain't even getting under the boom or bust. No, we ain't even getting nothing out of the boom or bust. Nothing. Your ass got beat. That's what we got. Everybody else get the boom or bust, we get beat. Black Americans, unlike any other population group, remained in an economic depression. A week after the Wall Street Journal story, another unexpected source pointed out the economic inequality in our society. In a speech to the annual conference of the National Community Reinvestment Coalition in Washington, D.C., Alan Greenspan, chairman of the Board of Federal Reserve, discussed the economic challenge of eradicating the income and wealth disparities in the society. All right. Greenspan went beyond reporting on the national economy and sounding an alarm to the nation that holds particular concern for Black Americans. Ooh-wee. Greenspan went beyond reporting on the national economy and sounding an alarm to the nation. Honey, baby child, that holds particular concern for Black Americans. He said that despite white America's economic good times, wealth disparities between groups are widening. What does that mean? He said that despite white America's economic good times, wealth disparities between groups are widening. He said, I have no illusions that the task of breaking down barriers that produce disparities in income and wealth will be simple. I have no illusions that the task of breaking down barriers that produce disparities in income and wealth will be simple. But he warned that this task remains an important goal because societies cannot thrive if significant segments perceive their functioning as unjust. So, white America, yeah, it's because of white America. White America was in so much lap of luxuries that it took away from us. It took any comfort, any concern. It took any convenience, tangibles. It took everything away from us. And he also saying that because of white America being able to widen this wealth gap, the disparities and stuff, we can't survive. And we can't. We ain't survived. We just barely maintaining, barely holding on by a string or a feather on that vulture y'all got us on. I don't know. But white America is all of this comfort that we give and sacrifice to white America and this status quo, this narrative. Hell, y'all ass is even confident other groups of people. Yeah, confident other groups of people. Because you got to treat them like they white. Your ass got to treat them like they white. Yep, it's a difference. All we got to do is live and let live. I can be civil to you if you civil to me. But God damn it, that's as far as it go. That's as far as it go. We got some work to do for us now. I'm just saying. This is like, whoa. I already knew this was white folks. Our national leadership, both black and white, remained silent to Greenspan's remarks and the Wall Street Journal article. Ain't nobody said nothing. Black folks ain't said nothing. White folks ain't said nothing. Your asses. Y'all asses scared as fuck. And white folks glad your asses is scared as fuck. Ain't that about some shit? Ain't nobody said nothing. Remain silent. Ain't said a word or a whisper. He the only one got the concern for black people. The only one got some concern for black people. For whatever reasons, they avoid the reality that after 400 years, black Americans are still outside of this nation's mainstream economy. Still outside of this nation's mainstream economy, everybody else in here getting everything, honey. Everybody else, they don't even give Black Americans what they don't want. They send it back home. Honey, they send it back home. Sure do. Black Americans still sitting here waiting. Hand out like that. Time is running out for Black America to resolve the wealth inequality. If we cannot enter the channels of wealth in the mainstream, we must do the next best thing. Take advantage of the fact that we outside the mainstream economy and construct a parallel alternative economy within our own Black communities where wealth can be gained. Yeah, since we can't get in, they don't want to let us in. They got all these monopolies that we learned about. So many monopolies and stuff is fucking crazy. There wasn't no game that we played when we were kids. Shit, honey. There was the strategy used against us. Sure was. So now we gotta do this. If we cannot enter the channels of wealth in the mainstream, we must do the next best thing. Take advantage of the fact that we outside the motherfucking mainstream economy. We outside, goddamn. Let's take advantage of that. You ain't gotta run inside and worrying about, oh, do you got this? Do you got that? Is you warm? Is you cold? Can I cook for you? Do you? Nah, we outside. Let's mow the yard. Let's mow the motherfucking lawn and stuff. Walk the fuck off. You outside. Why? To me, it's like we on the plantation yard. We ain't in the house no more, but our asses is in the yard. Long as you stay in the yard, you know, when I was a kid and stuff, you better not do that shit today. And your kids be outside playing in the yard and stuff, and you look outside, and as long as you hear them and you can see them. It's a comfort to white America to keep us right there. But we can't be there no more. It's time to leave. We got to go. Where does wealth even come from? Since Black America's primary problem is the lack of wealth, then a primary part of a solution must be for Black people to gain wealth. We must learn alternative ways wealth is created and how to capitalize on human needs and desires to gain wealth. But we must remember that our roads do not lead to wealth. There are two basic methods to achieve wealth. First, it can be created or acquired through redistribution. It is very difficult to earn wealth or to acquire it by working a job. A job is designed to maintain a worker from payday to payday, and that's usually what it do, and to keep workers 1 week from the welfare or the unemployment lines. Yep, that's it. But what is wealth? In earlier chapters, we learned that wealth is the fruit of any labor that is stored and used to satisfy human desires and human needs. Wealth can be acquired through inheritance, reparations, or profit from someone else's labor. The less a worker is paid for labor, the more wealth the owner of the business or land gains. Yep. The less a worker is paid, the more wealth the owner of the business gets, because he getting all of the profit and paying you just a few dimes, a few dollars. Of the available options, increased business ownership and reparations are the best means for Black people to gain wealth. I don't see, how can we wrap our mind and mouth to say that reparations ain't owed, it ain't deserved? I mean, history itself say a debt must be paid. A check was wrote. They gotta, cash. We need that check. Cut that motherfucking check. We ain't got but 2 ways. That's messed up. 2 ways. I don't think there's a other group of people that ain't got but 2 ways in this country in America. That ain't got but 2 ways to generate wealth. Businesses can redistribute wealth 6 to 8 times faster than employment. Think about it, how many times you see the owner of the laundromat or whoever it is, where you live at in your apartment complex, come and get the change out of the laundry things. That's a business. That's wealth. That's accumulated wealth. What, every 2 weeks? Every month? If it's big, I guess it depends. I don't know. I'm just using it as an example. That right there, it builds wealth way faster than getting a paycheck. Black Americans are just beginning to seriously seek reparations as a means to gain wealth. Even though nearly 90%, 97% of the majority society opposes the transfer of any form of wealth to Black people. Nearly 97% of the majority society opposes, they're against transferring any form of wealth. Any form of wealth, y'all. Eventually, the majority society will be forced by the power of the facts to award reparations to Black Americans. However, until white society decides to grant reparations, Black people must choose from the remaining options and begin creating their own wealth. It will require their best efforts, but it can be done. See, y'all, it can be done. We can do this. We can do this. Your own niece outbraid you. She ain't but 12. I mean, she can braid hair so fluidly. Let her know that's her business. If she love to do it. If she that gifted, I'm sure she got plenty of other gifts and stuff too. Because we are very talented, creative. Where do you think originality come from? Because it don't come from our open enemy. That's for sure. I'm just saying, look at Bubba. Bubba be fixing stuff and you be mad. Boy, why the hell you take my toaster apart? Shit. Now I gotta go buy me another toaster. But then when you buy the other toaster, his toaster heat up your toast better than that one do. Better than that one do. It'd be so even and brown, and you ain't even gotta push like that. All you gotta do is barely touch the thing, and it just, it's like he oiled it up or something. I don't know. Did he clean off the conduits on the middle of it, on the inside? I don't know. It's our babies, these jobs and stuff. Because, you know, we very sincere. You graduate, get that diploma, you go and get you a job. You get you a good job with that diploma. And we know I failed with that too, because I didn't even get the diploma. I went and got a GED though. I don't, goddamn it, be like Tommy Davidson on Woo about this damn piece of paper, because it really held us in a trap. It did. It ain't taught us a motherfucking thing. Had me believing Christopher Columbus was a hero. Woo-wee. Ancestors. I'm just saying. However, I'm going to read that again. Until white society decides to grant reparation, Black people must choose from the remaining options and begin creating their own wealth. And see, it is white people that decided. Your white friends, your white lovers, your white spouses, your white family, they are the ones that's supposed to go say, hey, you need to pay reparations. We don't mind if y'all pay Black people reparations. When is white people going to step up and say, we ain't threatened no more by Black dominance? We want everybody to have what they need, especially seeing where the world is going to. I mean, damn. Do y'all literally want to see us under robots and trapped in autonomous cars and shit? Y'all really want to see that shit happen? They see where the world going. They see this carpet, this red carpet that's being rolled out. Everybody see it. It make me wonder for the love that everybody say they got. That don't feel like no love. Much of the wealth that is needed is right before our eyes, y'all. If we aggregate, we can see it. If we work together, we can acquire it or create it. We are simply blind to our own wealth potential. The words of a white child talking to his Black friend sums up the essence of the hidden wealth potential of the race. The child said, I wish I could buy you for what you think you are worth. and sell you for what I think you are worth, I could make a fortune. Ain't that some shit? That little white child told the black child, I wish I could buy you for what you think you worth. Because, see, you think you ain't worth nothing. Give me a dime. Give me $1. I'll take $1. And sell you for what I think you're worth. I'll pay you that dime, that $1. And honey, I'm going to go sell your ass and he'll get me $1 million. Because, see, you priceless. You are priceless. You just don't know it. We just don't know it. Then that child said, I could make a fortune. Well, damn. Remind me, I heard a motherfucker say that he told my sister, our sister, that he could sell her. Yeah, everything always come back around, don't it? If I ever see that person again, that man, I'm going to ask him, and yeah, and what make your ass think your ass can't be sold? How you even think about some shit like that? Oh, but I just be talking to folks. Never mind, I ain't even gonna say that shit. Yeah, but I know people like that can't be my friends and stuff. No, hell no. You thinking like white folks like that? You thinking like white folks. Now, Black America. And then want us to trust you? Hell, we can't trust white people. Shit. That's historically. Gone, I know what you think. Nah, ain't nobody never heard me but black people. Hell, that's the black people your ass been around. The hurt of the hurt. That's what that is. That's what that is. Me too. We're around our family, our friends, our neighborhoods, our communities, our schools, churches, grocery stores. Everybody goddamn it hurt. So don't be saying, like, if you go somewhere and stuff, black people hurting you there too. Hurting you there too. Take your ass to some white places and be there. Your ass gonna be crawling back trying to get back home. Because goddamn it, all you got to do is help us heal. You got to be part of the solution too. Woo-wee. Gonna sell black people. Throughout history, nearly everyone, except for black people, has seen wealth in the race. Black people have responded by enriching every other group but themselves. It is now time for black people to create wealth for themselves. The secret to creating wealth is to own and control resources, whether they are natural, like land, water, precious minerals and metals, process, machinery, factories, consumer items, and public improvements, or human capital, skilled, literate labor force. There's no wealth potential in public housing, food stamps, petty crime, drug use, or teenage pregnancy. There is no wealth. There's no wealth potential in a job. It is the owner and the producer of the job who have the wealth potential. We need activities and mechanisms that can produce wealth for black people and their communities. When a group or community begins to acquire resources and manage them for the economic benefit of the group, they have created an economy, a mechanism to produce income, to produce wealth, to produce jobs and business opportunities. It is important that we understand this concept of an economy. John Kenneth Galbraith, in his book, Almost Everyone's Guide to Economics. Almost Everyone's Guide to Economics. Is he trying to say everybody but us? In that title? Hey, I'm just saying. I ain't trying to pick with him. Let's just read. In his book, Almost Everyone's Guide to Economics, stressed the importance of an economy to any population group. His book stressed the importance of an economy to any population group. Galbraith points out that those people who do not understand, or those people that pretend that they do not know how an economy is built and operated, automatically surrender all the wealth building power to those who do understand. So see, Black America, for your motherfucking ass being so goddamn meek and helpful and loving and forgiving and sacrificial, your goddamn ass and stuff. He talking about you. He is talking about you. That's what he meant. Almost everyone's guide to economic. Everybody but your black ass. Yep. You automatically surrender all wealth building power to those who do understand. Groups with their own economies make wealth producing decisions in their own best interest. The world is a competitive place, and there are few, if any, incentives for other groups to intentionally make decisions in the best interest of Black Americans. Upon what philosophical base should Black Americans build an economy within their own community? Blacks should use the same philosophical base that the majority society and its ethnic subgroups use. The same motherfucking base. A culture of competition that operates in its own best interest. That's it. That's it. A culture of competition that operates in its own best interest. Those in America's melting pot build their respective economies around their needs, their cultures, their togetherness, and their nationalistic goals. Now, Black Americans must build a viable economy to accomplish Black America's goal of producing wealth as a means to be competitive and self-sufficient. Let's look at a story that demonstrates how an economy and wealth are created. Brian Westbury, in his book, The New Era of Wealth, tells about an imaginary island where 10 villagers earn their living by fishing. Each of the villagers caught 2 fish a day. The daily gross domestic product of the island was 20 fish, just enough to supply sufficient food for their needs, for their meals. Clearly, the villagers could not progress because they only produced enough to survive. In their respect, they were similar to most Black Americans who have worked jobs or live off of subsidies and various forms of assistance. Oh, let's read that again. And so it's an imaginary island where 10 villagers earn their living by fishing. Each of the villagers caught 2 fish each day. The daily gross domestic product of the island was 20 fish, just enough to supply sufficient food for their meals. Clearly, the villagers could not progress because they only produced enough to survive. In their respect, they were similar to most Black Americans who have worked jobs or lived off of subsidies and various forms of assistance. It's like your welfare, your food stamps. Westbury explained how the 2 fishermen in his story fostered an economy by changing their perspective and started to see, think, and behave outside of the box. They risked starvation by taking time out from fishing to build a boat and make fishing nets. With their boat and newly designed nets, honey, these 2 fishermen could then catch 20 fish in a day between both of them. Now, 2 people could produce what is used to take 10 people to do. Now they had a fishing industry and could feed everybody on the island. The other 8 villagers then had a choice. They could continue to catch 2 fish a day to live on and just enjoy life and be hungry, or they could diversify. A few could build businesses that related to the fishing industry, perhaps open a boat or net repair shop. Others could raise and sell fruits and vegetables or start a bakery. Still others could begin to make sandals and clothing to sell or trade with the 2 villagers who built and owned the boats and the nets. This is how an economy is born and industries follow. Members of the community take calculated risks and begin to build businesses and provide goods and services to members of their group. Later on in this chapter and in subsequent chapters, we will suggest ways that Black Americans can be like these island villagers and build an alternative economy. So see how he was saying other people that could diversify. So since these two guys right here got they boat and nets, they could start a business repairing the nets. Or, other examples would be selling the worms, selling the hooks, little stuff like that. Having the rain equipment, the wet equipment and stuff. They're going to need stuff that them rain suits to have on and stuff. All kind of businesses like that. That's how you would create that economy. So for us, like with the school, Bolden Nation Multiversity, with the school, we would start this school and with businesses and stuff, I would be coming to get the books, the paper, the pens, readers and stuff like that. And we would just build it up and stuff for your bakery and stuff like that. Other people would be, you would go get your pans, your cookware and ingredients and your supplies. And somebody else might have the heavy equipment that you need for your bakery and stuff, and somebody else might come and be like, well, I got your catering. Yeah, I got your catering. Wherever you want me to deliver it to. So then, and it'll build it up. I know, right? Wow. And then, and so on. So forth and so on for your daycare, your beauty salon, whatever your business is. And then we come along and stuff, and we have the outer of that. And you get that from us. And we build up that economy and stuff. Yeah, y'all know it's a small vision I got, but his is the big vision. We're going to go by his model. I'm just saying, I can see it. Without effective and healthy economies, it is impossible for Black people anywhere in the world, to compete in producing wealth. The world's total wealth is estimated at $390 trillion. The world's total wealth is estimated at $390 trillion. However, Black people who make up nearly 1/5 of the world's population own less than 1% of that wealth. So what would that be? Oh, I need your math class. $39 million? I don't know, let's read. However, Black people who make up nearly 1/5 of the world's population own less than 1% of the wealth. In the United States, the wealth has been maldistributed along a ranking order of skin color and social acceptance. The wealth disparity between Black people and white people is so great that two white people together, Bill Gates, $63 billion, and Lawrence J. Ellison, $50 billion, have a net worth that is greater than the collective net worth of this nation's whole 36 million Black people. And maldistribution is one of the three major impediments that we learned about in this book. One of the three, it was the major one, it was the number one. The three major impediments that we have is the maldistribution of the wealth and the power resources. Number two is our inappropriate behaviors. Number three is our lack of a national plan. I just wanted to say that because he did bring up the wealth has been maldistributed. Black American households having an estimated $7.2 billion invested in Wall Street stocks and bonds. Gates and Ellison completely own nearly 13 times more stocks and bonds than all 36 million Black Americans. The wealth disparities between the races are even greater outside of the United States, honey. South Africa has 29 million Black people, which makes it a 99% Black country. Yet, the De Beers Corporation, DEBEERS, the De Beers Corporation, a white-owned company, owns and controls 50% of what Black nation's total wealth, of that Black nation's total wealth. The remaining 50% of wealth belongs to nearly 2.5 million white people. The 29 million Black South Africans are left with practically zero wealth in one of the most richly endowed countries on this earth, left with nothing. The maldistributed wealth fixed black people at the bottom of the world's wealth barrier. The maldistributed wealth fixed black people at the bottom of the world's wealth barrel. Wealth is the great determiner of opportunity. Without wealth, equal opportunity becomes only a dream. Only a dream. Well, make me think about Martin's dream, which became a nightmare. He lived the nightmare and assimilated us into it. He did let us know that he led us in that burning house and let us know to go get our check. If he didn't have one more speech, Black America, he would have told you to judge white America by their culture. Judge them by their culture. Not how Sabrina treats you because here you're married to her. She your best friend, your lover, whatever your bond is, your history is. But her people out there, what is her people doing to your people? Martin would have told us that when I see him, he come back. Whoever come back, you better ask some questions, Black America. You've been through too much to not ask no questions. Now, if an alien or something come back and start shooting and stuff, go on and get to your hideaway. Go on and get in your bunker and stuff like that. But if not, ask some questions. You got some questions to ask, Black America. Ain't no more fear. No more. From this point on, you done learned about it in your Bible. God does not give us a spirit of fear. And then I heard, I think that was Isaac Hayes said that, I wrote it down too. Bravery is not the absence of fear, but the ability to overcome it. And since we're talking about stocks, yeah. While Black American households have an estimated $7.2 billion invested in Wall Street stocks and bonds, Gates and Ellison collectively own nearly 13 times more stocks and bonds than all of our black asses put together. Go to Fanbase and invest in Fanbase. It's just $399, honey. It's just $399. Go invest in Fanbase if you can. Start using it. Try to get used to it. Everything different from Facebook. Sorry ass. I'm just goddamn it saying. Go and let's try to get used to Fanbase. I'm trying to get used to it too, honey. Everything stuff. From a person that don't even really like technology. Let's not be left behind. Let's at least know a little bit of something about it and use it during this last opportunity that we got here. This last opportunity. So yeah, honey, go invest your money in Fanbase. Yep. I think I might have to ask my friends and family and stuff, y'all want to go in half and invest in Fanbase? We got to do something but invest in Fanbase. If you can't, if it's absolutely ain't nobody you even trust that you want to go in on those stocks half with and stuff, then go on to Cash App, get your Cash App, and invest in some of them little stocks for just $1. When you see, say like, and you invest in them REITs, real estate income. I forgot what the T was and stuff like that, but it's REIT. That's for the housing and stuff like that. And whatever you invest in and stuff, and you get a little gain might be like you get a profit. Say you bought 5 shares or 25 shares, $25 worth of a REIT, some housing property and stuff. And then you looked at it like, well, wow, I know I bought $25, but it's showing me I got $55. Honey, take that few dollars and put it in your savings. Put it in your savings. Unless you want to keep buying some more and then your profit will be more, But I'm just saying, it's a quick way to get you some extra cash and stuff. But in my opinion, go to Fanbase. Let's help out Fanbase and stuff. Yeah, I hope it don't take me that long to be able to do it because I want to do these things too. I'm not just telling y'all this. These are my, my ideas, my support too. I have some ideas, but these are my support, that I want us to help each other with. I want this needs to be, a collective effort. I want it to be. My heart feel like it can be. You should want this to be a collective effort where we go from here. You should want us to go together and all of us to be okay. No more competing against each other, being jealous of each other, and my dress shorter than your dress and all that bullshit. Let's just try to put all that pettiness to the side and stuff. If anything, tell each other and stuff, girl, you don't look white today. My sister. I'm just saying. But yeah, let's read. Zaroba Abijikowi. Good day, Botswana. Oh, my ancestors. Good day and gratitude. Black Africa. Yep, Black Africa and Black America, we won. We are one. I know it's a lot between us. A lot of controversy between everything, because that's how white America done set us against each other. Ever since meritorious manumission. Meritorious, it's okay to snitch and sell out your brother so you can gain your freedom, and then don't do a goddamn thing with it. Don't do a goddamn thing with it. It's okay to forgive us for those things and start trusting us again. Because we the parent of all people. Black people are. If we ain't got nothing else in common, we the parent of all people. Cosmic energy manifested as black people, the black man and the black woman. A rainbow got two sides, don't it? We don't know if that rainbow just settled down. And there you go, Black Africa and Black America. We don't know. White folks don't know. They don't know a goddamn thing. It could have been a shooting star. Came down here and then spread out. And that contact with Mother Earth, it grew us. It grew black people. We was here first. We've always been here first. We are the parent of all people. Now that Mother Gaia is purging herself of white folks, we got to get back to our true essence. We got to get back on that homeostasis with each other. Us here in America, we got to fix this, y'all. We got to fix this. I'm not your enemy. You're not my enemy, honey. I love you. I love my nieces, my nephews. I don't even know you. But we all one. We got to get back right with Black Africa. Because when things do align, we can't be one without the other. We cannot be one without the other. And then I do believe that I've been seeing Africa standing up for themselves. My brother, Abraham Traore, they standing up for themselves now. Africa is, so we got to, Black America, stand up for ourselves here. It ain't nothing that you finna lose that ain't been lost. You see? It's a lot of jobs out here. We just read that you're supposed to have your own business anyway. Now, I know over the years and stuff, you done had so many creative ideas and visions and dreams and goals. Go back to it. It's time now. Yeah. I need you to make me some of them little crochet things. I got my own design, what I wanted to say and stuff. But yeah, I need you to make me some of them and stuff, and like some little rugs and stuff with my logos and stuff. This is my first logo. Yeah, this right here is a collective, timeless, because we're timeless. See, we timeless. You can't get this shirt no more. I done took them off. I'll bring them back when I feel like it. But it's still some keychains and little stuff like that on there. But yeah, get your own business and stuff. Yeah, from this right here is my school, Bolden Nation Multiversity. Get started with whatever you had in your mind's eye. Your first mind, because your first mind is begging for your attention again, Black America. Yep, that's where our generational wealth finna come from. They don't want to give it to us, but we ain't gonna stop asking. Black America ain't gonna stop letting their ass know you got to pay for this debt right here, baby. One way or the other, your ass got to pay. Get wiped off the planet if you want to, white folks. It's gonna be on you. Ain't nobody gonna be sad and depressed, and ain't nobody even gonna miss you. Get purged off this planet if you want to. I'm just saying, you know what your sons is out there doing. your sons. These white men is your sons, your brothers, your husbands. The mainstream economy and the white majority. Ooh-wee. In our competitive and race-based society, why would the majority white society want to throw the doors of economic opportunity wide open to black people? Why would they want to do that? That is not the nature of competitors who play a game of, I have mine and I'm going to get yours. The majority society's economic model extends its economy into black communities and pursues the black consumer. To support their economic model, various levels of government and private corporations encourage economic development that is not in the best interest of black Americans. They routinely offer black Americans marginal jobs, while non-black businesses exploit the resources, the labor, and the consumer dollars within black neighborhoods. They offer minimum public assistance in the form of housing and food and home heating and healthcare subsidies. In the last 2 decades, many of the nation's leading think tanks and academicians have come to realize that abandoned urban cities contain a wealth of infrastructure assets, such as waterways, transportation systems, and commercial buildings. White people are buying and renovating property and moving back into the inner cities, spawning an economic rebound. One of the leading proponents of urban economic redevelopment is Michael E. Porter, a professor of business administration at Harvard Business School. During the last 20 years, Porter has written a number of books about competitiveness in business and industry. In his most recent book on competition, honey, he devoted an entire chapter to the competitive advantages of the inner city. So did, honey. Porter pointed out the traditional negatives associated with black communities, but he also suggested numerous business advantages that can be found in urban cities. His recommendations for inner city business developments are very similar to the traditional social models that give white businessmen opportunities to build wealth and businesses in black neighborhoods, while black people get jobs and places to spend their money. Porter must be given credit, though, however, for offering an economic model that points out the economic advantages of building businesses within urban black cities. The major shortcoming of his model from the perspective of POWERNOMICS is that it does not intend to make black Americans self-sufficient and competitive within their own communities. It is a model of economic growth for non-black people within black neighborhoods. Porter's model has strong moral and ideological overtones. His philosophy is similar to that of Booker T. Washington's admonishment that white people would be willing to invest and build businesses in inner cities if the residents clean up their crime and improve their work habits. When groups are competing for wealth and resources, such admonishments to black Americans are disingenuous and reflect the structural racism discussed in Chapter 1. I have never heard white businessmen say to Asian people or Asian men, Jewish men, Hispanic men, or American Indian communities that if you clean yourself up, white businessmen will be willing to come into your communities, develop businesses, displace your income, and give community members a job. Black Americans were brought to this country to be a labor force. Their problem is not the lack of jobs. The lack of jobs is a symptom of their lack of wealth and businesses that produce jobs. Our society does not prioritize creating businesses for black people the way it does for other groups of people. In the Washington, D.C. area, there are ongoing efforts by levels of government, schools, banks, and businesses to prepare Asians and Hispanics for business careers. But seldom, if ever, is the focus on black people. Even though Asians and Hispanics already surpass black people in business ownership, the assimilated groups within the majority society came to this country and voluntarily. The assimilated groups within the majority society came to this country voluntarily in search of wealth and fortune. According to a front page story in the Washington Post, May the 25th, 1998, any group that does not have an economic structure is heading for trouble. Honey, it is headed for trouble. The groups that hold the most control over their financial, their human capital, and their markets will be the most competitive groups. Porter's economic model would be more of a positive for Black people if it encouraged and guided Black entrepreneurs to compete and keep control of their own communities and their own cities by revitalizing, building, owning, and controlling their own businesses. As stated earlier, Porter's economic models contain much that is positive, but they are designed to maintain the status quo on wealth and power. They do not address the structural wealth inequality, which is the very difficult knot of the race problem. New orientation. The new orientation for Black America within the framework of a national plan is the practice of group economics. When our ethno-aggregation paradigm is combined with the traditional practice of group economics, it reshapes the concept into ethno-economics. The primary goal of practicing group economics or POWERNOMICS is to draw wealth, income, and resources into Black communities and to make them more economically self-sufficient and competitive. The practice of group economics is not new. To successfully compete, y'all, Black entrepreneurs will need some competitive advantages. The action steps proposed later in this chapter are designed to give Black America some of the advantages that white people and other ethnic groups have in the marketplace. Black people are 400 years behind the majority society and various ethnic groups in structuring their own economy. Our new orientation is built on understanding the cycle of wealth production and getting ahead of the curve, not following it. The principles of wealth building, as shown in Figure 12, will repeat themselves just as history does repeat itself. Don't forget that. The wealth cycle will shift from technology to control of resources at some point in the not too distant future. But before the shift occurs, Black people can position themselves as the lead rather than the hind dog. So when he said get ahead of the curve, don't follow the curve, we want to go. Take your ass a shortcut. Take your ass a shortcut so you can get in front of that curve right there. I'm just saying, Black America, you seen the movie Kidnapped with Halle Berry? That's a favorite example. And they kidnapped her little boy, Frankie, at the park. And remember, sister said, what's his name, baby? Is it Marco or Frankie? What do we call him, baby? That movie right there. And she had to get off the freeway because the lady held a knife out there. So she got off the freeway and she had a moment to think and collect herself. And then she took out across the street, across the grass, so she can get back on the freeway in front of the curb. That's what he's talking about right there. We got to take some shortcuts. We got to take some shortcuts, Black America. Technology, wealth, and the new orientation. Where does technology fit into the new orientation of group economics and the cycle of wealth for Black people? Many social observers and prognosticators argue that access to computers, the information highway, and other advanced technology is the salvation of Black Americans. There is a subtle suggestion that technology is blind to color. Therefore, in theory, it does not matter who owns and controls technology, just as long as Black people have access to it, that they can overcome structural racism. It does not matter who owns and controls technology, just as long as Black people got access to it, baby, we can overcome structural racism. This is blatantly untrue. Black people must not be misled by the computer hype and technology euphoria. Technology is and has always been just as much a political tool as it has been as an economic tool. Technological tools are deployed to the advantage of those who own and control them. Like our previous technology, baby, computer-driven technology is not necessarily a friend of black people. Sure ain't. Told y'all asses, this is not our friend. Every keystroke your ass making, honey, is logging it in there. Everything that we doing is logging it in there. Sure will, but we got to use it. We got to use it so we can get on this same mindset, so we can change our mindset. Give us some new thoughts, some new ideas, some new visions. Give us what we need before it's gone and stuff. We won't have it no more. I'm just saying. I believe we can talk telepathically. We can. If we, do the work, detox ourselves, do the work, go within, heal yourself, get right, get on homeostasis, we will be able to. All of this that we seeing be created is anti-life. It's never seen before. And us being who we are, we're gonna have to be able to adapt to them changes that's coming. That's why it's important for me to stop eating meat, for me to stop smoking cigarettes, for me to stop watching bullshit on TV that really ain't giving me no knowledge and stuff, just wasting my time. Hours and hours and hours, series after series after series. And stuff. I ain't teaching me nothing and stuff, And that's so that I'll be able to resonate, get on homeostasis with myself so I can resonate with what's finna come down. Because in this new world right here, you very well may have to telepathically communicate with each other, Black America. In this new world, suppose the sun is blocked out. Suppose they do block the sun out. They done built them huge artificial suns, and that's called East Experimental Advanced Subcultural Tokamak or Tomac, something like that. It's some weird shit. And suppose they do in the next 7,500 years, if the sun ain't blew everybody up, and they do block the sun out up there, then Black America, you gonna need some light. You can't be cast in darkness no more. Can you imagine being cast? Really? The hatred that's out there? Honey, please, your ass better be able to touch fingers or something like E.T. and generate some light. I'm just saying you're going to need the sun inside of you. You come from the cosmos. You got everything inside of you. You're going to need to activate it. You're going to need to activate it and hold them at bay. They might eat your ass again. I'm just goddamn it saying I ain't here to lie to you. I'm not trying to scare you. I just want you to be wary. Be wary. Shit. Know what fucking may happen. Shit, all of this means something, Black America. Now, our think tanks, they're not out of our reach. We're think tanks too, on our level. I'll find where I went wrong at and stuff. Somebody be like, Face, you on the right track. But yeah, you wrong. But you on the right track. All right, I'm open to be corrected. But hell, at least try to think for yourself. Connect the dots for yourself. Because see, other folks connect the dots and got you going everywhere. Got your goddamn ass going everywhere, Black America, when they connect the dots for you. You need to connect them dots yourself so your ass can go where you need to go. You don't need to be going here, there, and there, and all of that and stuff. You got to connect the dots for yourself. Start thinking for yourself. Dr. Deborah Blair said you don't know the truth until you decide what it is. You got to decide. I just want to help us at least start trying to do these things. Honey, yeah. Technology is not necessarily a friend of Black people. Black people have never been major owners, producers, or controllers of technology. Structural racism holds Black people in place as a labor class until new technology comes along and wipes out their place. So, what's that going to look like? Structural racism holds Black people in place as a labor class until new technology comes along and wipes out that place. You ain't needed for labor no more. You ain't got no businesses. What is that going to look like for us? You going to sit here and be at the mercy. Tell you what I say. Without any way to take care and sustain yourself, Black America, you're going to find yourself at the mercy of your open enemy to feed you, clothe you, take care of you when you're sick, to treat you. You're going to be at the mercy of your open enemy, and they ain't going to do none of it. It's going to be a heavy price to pay. They're going to be jabbing your ass. They're going to be jabbing and chipping your ass just to feed you some plastic rice. Because they ain't going to let you float that rice on top of that water and see what's going to float. And you swipe that plastic rice off and throw it away. They ain't going to let you do that. You're going to have to accept what they're going to give you. They're going to be chipping your ass left and right to give you a piece of bologna. And you pour some Pepsi on it, like that video I was looking at. They pour some Pepsi or Coke or Sprite or something hell on some meat and honey and let it sit there and the worms start coming out the goddamn meat. I said I might go buy a little thin piece of meat up there at Aldi somewhere, get a couple of them and set them out and see if it's going to do it, just so I can see. Because I was like, what in the hell? They just started coming up out of me. But then they said, pork do not sweat. Pork does not sweat. It don't get rid of its toxins. That pig we love so much. I ain't had a pork chop in almost like 7, 9, about 6 years. I ain't had a pork chop, but I done had some bacon. But I think if I see them worms coming up out of there with my own 3 eyes, I'll be able to say, yeah, I don't need no more meat. No, I don't want no more meat. Because that pork do not sweat, all the toxins is still in it and stuff, and everybody loves some bacon. You can smell bacon outside. You know somebody is cooking some bacon somewhere. But Dr. Layla Africa said we eating ass and chicken fetus. We got bacon. Who told us that was the perfect breakfast? You got your eggs on the side, them chicken fetus, that poached chicken. Your ass over there eating. Then you got your bacon over there and all that. That ain't the right breakfast. No, that is not the right breakfast. I know now I'm going through this journey with eating too. Because I don't shop. I don't grocery shop no more. No, I'm barely eating whatever little bit I can come across and stuff, like these little straggly dogs out here and stuff. And then you want to wrap your food up in your bag and throw it in the trash. I'm just saying. But when I do get right on this level, honey, I'm going to have my refrigerator going to be a garden. Sure is. I'm going to show y'all too. It's going to be a garden. Because it don't happen overnight. It don't happen overnight. But that's where I'm getting to. That's where I'm going. Straight. I don't need nobody mislead me here and mislead me there, like the drunkard's path that the slaves had to take to escape from the masters. They had to take the drunkard's path because they couldn't follow the drunkard's path. Or they take the bear's path. It's called bear paw. However, they saw that blanket hanging across that clothesline, and they know that ain't my blanket and I ain't washed and stuff. That's they cute. When they leaving, we're going to take the bear's paw path. So you ain't got to get a whole lot of berries and bread and stuff, because on the bear's paw path, you'll find berries, nuts, a little water stream. If it say like if the blanket got a drunkard's path of the drunk man that's staggering everywhere, then you better have extra bread and berries, because we're going to go out the way. That way the masters can't track you going out the way. To get where we going and stuff. I'm just saying, for me, learning all of this, honey, I'm trying to connect my own dots. But I want to let y'all know what's up ahead. That's all I'm trying to do, like everybody else is. Allegedly 2025, we all supposed to be doing this on some level. You ain't got to do it on here. Maybe with the babies in your neighborhood. Maybe you started getting you some little children books and you be reading to them, to the babies, to the youth, our books for them, for their age appropriate, of course. You know, I'm just saying shit. For example, in the early 1900s, cotton picking machines that could pick 50 times more cotton per hour forced Black Americans to leave the cotton fields and move north in search of work. 50 years later, automatic machinery forced most of the Black people from the steel mills, the automobile factories, and the chemical factories of the North onto the welfare, criminal, and unemployment roles of urban areas. And that did happen. Yeah. Just shoving your Black ass anywhere, everywhere, just shoving your ass, pushing you right on out the way wherever they want you. Black Americans never owned or produced the automation technology that displaced and rendered them an obsolete labor force. In telecommunications, the inventions of the radio, the telephone, and the television did not enrich Black people. They received the benefits of using the radio, the telephone, and the television. But those people who produced and controlled the technology were the ones who became wealthy. In the new POWERNOMICS orientation, technology is important. It is important, but Black people can compete best by getting ahead of technology and owning and controlling the industries from which technology evolves. Getting ahead is getting ahead. I mean, knowing ahead is getting ahead. So when you know ahead, you get ahead. And see, we're thinking of ways to get ahead. What we will need. A new orientation to group economics requires understanding the cycle of wealth, illustrated in Figure 13. The cycle began with natural resources, like minerals and precious metals. Next, it moved to human labor, especially Black slave labor, which drove the engines of civilizations around the world, honey. By the mid-1960s, technology had become the great wealth builder. Technology did the heavy lifting, moving, cleaning, and building. We are currently in the fourth place. We are currently in the fourth phase, the information and manipulation of symbols. Information manipulators and distributors have emerged as the greatest wealth builders ever. Information manipulators and distributors have emerged as the greatest wealth builders ever. They are making untold billions of dollars moving information instead of tangible goods. The next shift will carry us back to the original starting point, natural resources and other tangible goods. Ooh, this is another one of his models right here. You know, we got the T model. Okay, so the cycle of foundations of wealth production. Well, up here at the top is natural resources, the land, minerals, and precious metals. And going around is, we'll start with slavery and human labor. And then it goes to technology and labor-saving machinery. Then it goes to information and manipulation symbols, natural resources. The natural resources ended up being slave and human labor, ended up being technology and labor-saving machinery, ended up being information and manipulation of symbols. That's where we are now. Information and manipulation of symbols. Like the age of information. I guess. Let's read, though. It's news to me, too. Since Black people have yet to capture and benefit from the technology phase shown at the bottom of the cycle in Figure 13, and that's technology and labor-saving machinery. Since we have yet to capture and benefit from the technology and labor-saving machinery, they could seize a strategically competitive position by advancing directly to the first phase, control of natural resources at the top of the cycle, build vertical industries, and practice group economics. So see, since we didn't capture and benefit from this, we can go straight up here to the land, minerals, and precious metals. the natural resources. They could seize a strategically competitive position by advancing directly to the first phase, control of natural resources at the top of the cycle, build vertical industries, and practice group economics. I want to go back to that example I gave about Cash App. If you go there and invest in some stocks and stuff, look at the land and look at the resources in your stocks and stuff, and the precious minerals and stuff like that, like lithium, stuff like that, gold, because they got a lot of stocks and stuff like that on there too. And as they go up, or it's just $1 and stuff, go all out. Get your portfolio all across the board. You want to have your portfolio, your stock portfolio. You want to have stuff with your property, like your rental property. You want to have stuff like not really restaurants and stuff. I don't do restaurants and big box stores and stuff like that, and like Coca-Cola and McDonald's and stuff like that. I really just don't know. Fuck them here. They all need to go out of business anyway. But if they do, you'll win some money. I mean, you'll profit from them and stuff. I'm just saying, get your stocks in gold and bonds, technology. Get your stocks in medical, and stuff like that. Just look through them. You can get your stocks in business and agricultural and stuff like that. That way, what you have, your assets, it'll be significant. Not saying that McDonald's won't be significant when they go out of business, because they motherfucking asses is got that dimethyl polisiloxane and all that food and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, let's just at least start considering these things. Raw resources stimulate labor, which stimulates production, which stimulates income, which stimulates wealth. The foundations of wealth are cyclical. Our global economy is presently in the information age, the information phase of wealth formation. The fourth phase of the wealth creation cycle, information manipulation, is virtual. Granted, though, information technology is extremely valuable, but at some point in the fourth phase, it will become a perishable resource. Technology will falter, and humans will be at risk. The value of technology-driven information will decrease, while the value of tangible goods and human labor will increase. Devaluation. Devaluation can be triggered by man-made causes, such as computer viruses, accident, or uncontrollable natural disasters. Any of these events could drive the wealth building cycle back to the beginning. Natural resources. The group that controls those resources will be in the driver's seat. Thus, Black America can get ahead by jumping ahead. So, yeah, if you're going to do that and stuff, go ahead and get your stocks in natural resources. I'm just saying, if we can't invest in fan base right now, and you are saving a few dollars of, with that money that you're saving, because every time you get a profit from them stocks, say you ain't got $3.99 for fan base, but you got $200 for McDonald's. Use McDonald's, motherfucking ass, or one of the others, whoever, it could be. And you get that, you put $75 and get you some McDonald's stocks. And before you know it, you got like $40 in profit. Take that $40 and put it in your savings, and the other ones too. And that way, when you do get your $3.99 plus that tax and stuff, it'll probably be, I don't know how much it's going to be yet. I ain't even tried it because I ain't got the money. But when you do, then go ahead and invest in that fan base. That's what we need to do and stuff. That's what I think we should do and stuff. That's what I'm going to do. In the past wealth cycles, society was able to store goods and services from each wealth building phase because they were tangible, like the natural resources of land, water, and food. They could be stored for prosperity and the enjoyment of future generations. Whether it was from a farm, automobile factory, or a hospital, it could be stored in warehouses, books, and libraries, or even in burial tombs. Yet, and just like the tombstones had all the gold and stuff in that Anthony Browder, our brother from the west side of Chicago, used to go in and excavate. Yet in our computer-driven world, when computer users are constantly admonished to save backup copies of their work, what happens when information-based goods and services are destroyed or disappear for any reason? The United States is abandoning its material existence and giving up its resources to other countries. If cyberspace technology fails for whatever reason, there will be a mad scramble to regain the natural resources this nation abandoned. If Black people are the most vulnerable group of people, why are they following white people down a road of complete dependence on technology? If technology fails and white society becomes disabled, Black people will become even more vulnerable. With POWERNOMICS, though, Black America has an opportunity to move into place and establish itself as backup producer and owner of material resources. How Black Americans can acquire material resources to compete today, as well as prepare for the negative impact of globalization, is discussed in Chapter 6. When events that shape the next shift in wealth occur, the basis of wealth will move to those people who own and control resources. Those who acquire their wealth from information and technology will trade their vast wealth for food, medicine, and other essential resources they need to survive and prosper. Black people can make up for lost time now by moving right now to own and control as many essential material assets as possible. And y'all, be ready to trade them for other valuables. In the cycle of wealth, material resources always come before technology. The action steps below are offered to help Black Americans practice group economics within the framework of a new orientation and national plan for Black America. The strategies include establishing controls and privileges within home and community markets, developing product specialization based on culture and consumer patterns, and establishing national and international marketing outlets to achieve economies of scale. Economic action step number 1. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to read 5 and 6 because, honey, number 5 is long. Chapter 5 is 2 chapters. But that's all right. We're going to read chapter 5. Look, we still got, whoa, I know. But it's good reading, though. Economic action step number 1. Create an alternative economy within Black communities. Black America needs an alternative economy to address its business, employment, and wealth needs. Our alternative economy should be a small but competitive business community that exists outside of, but is complementary to the mainstream economy. Alternative economies have always existed. In earlier times, most of the alternative economies were the cottage industries. And that's cottage industries. Most of the alternative was the cottage industry that sprung up around the manufacturing of certain products by specific identifiable groups. German dairies and Irish distilleries spawned economies that revolved around them. Today, we have many specialized industries such as military installations, university campuses, or any number of Chinatowns that function as independent alternative economies. They run parallel to the mainstream economy, and they provide jobs, products, and services for an identifiable group of people. The issue should no longer be whether Black America should have an alternative economy or business communities, but rather what type. Like all other alternative economies or business communities, Black America needs traditional business communities built upon its group competitive advantages for the specific purpose of building jobs, products, and services that satisfy Black consumers' basic needs and desires. In the best possible world, we should seek to reconstruct traditional business communities where business persons took pride in products that they sold. Business owners knew their customers, they were their neighbors, and they offered the best products and the best services. In return, merchants expected customers to remain loyal and shop in stores within their own communities. Over the last 2 generations, the commercial mall phenomenon drained off much of the business from local community businesses. But new ethnic and high-income customers are bringing traditional business communities back. The desire for the old tradition of high-quality fresh products fuels today's explosion of boutique shops and organic and natural food stores that are springing up all over this country. Their impact has been so strong that the mega shopping centers are losing popularity, and many developers are moving back to more traditional community shopping centers in urban downtown areas. Using their concept of vertical integration and thinking outside of the box, Black business communities can build in a vertical chain of obligation. Ooh, we have a vertical chain of obligation when a series of obligations exist between various Black businesses and Black customers. When businesses and customers support each other, application of this vertical concept could build business communities based on new community understandings, interests, respect, and market loyalty similar to those that exist in most ethnic communities. How does a vertical chain of obligation work in the real world? I see it like a vertical chain, like your hair shop. You do hair and stuff. Well, maybe sister or brother want to have on the first floor where you buy the ingredients. You go get your hair grease. You go get your pressing comb. You go get your hot iron. You know, if you're going to use, you get your heat protecting and stuff for your hair and stuff. You get all your hair needs right there. At the back, on the side, or on the next level, you go up there and get your hair washed. You go up there and you get it washed and set and dried and stuff. Then on the next level, that's where you go to the stylist and get your hair styled and stuff. Like a vertical chain. And everybody got their own business. Everybody buying from each other and stuff. You get your towels and stuff when you go on the first floor to get everything you need for your hair. You get everything from rubber bands to towels and stuff. You know, you get your bonnets too if you must. I'm just saying. But let's read and see what it really is. How does a vertical chain of obligation work in the real world? It establishes the ability to exploit niche markets. An incident between Asian merchants and Black suppliers in Chinatown and Washington, D.C. demonstrates the importance of a vertical chain of obligation as a foundation to an alternative economy. A Black marketing organization approached a group of Asian merchants in an effort to sell them a variety of popular consumer items. A Black marketing organization approached a group of Asian merchants in an effort to sell them a variety of popular consumer items. After the Black distributors made their sales pitch, they were disappointed when the Asian merchants replied they were not interested in purchasing products that the Black distributors were selling. Determined not to give up on the Asian merchants and convinced that contiguous boundaries between the Asian and Black communities made them quasi members of the same community, the Black distributors offered a 25% discount from the price that the Asian merchants were paying for the same goddamn items. Again, the Asians told the Black distributors they was not interested. In a collective voice of puzzlement, the Black distributors asked how the merchants could afford to turn down the 25% discount. The merchants responded, you Black people just don't understand. It is not the money, but the fact that we only buy from our own. Hell, ain't no Black people gonna be going up in there. What the hell they need to buy from you for? Ain't no Black people coming up in there. They only do business with their own self. Yes. It make me wonder, do the businesses like the hair businesses that's in our communities and stuff, do they buy their own products or they sell it to us, but when on their way home, they stop at the big place and get their hair stuff? Well, I know, and I love doing my own hair. I sure do, baby. I got to get me some heat protected. Because, honey, you know I be sitting up in here, honey, baby, smelling just like a pressing comb because I done pressed my hair. Sure will, honey. You might not never even see me with a cap on my head. Sure enough, not no wig. But I digress, though. We must now recapture the good aspects of traditional business communities as they existed 3/4 of a century ago and continue to exist in many places today. Some are in suburban communities that have grown up near the edge of large urban cities. They are in small and often remote cities and townships off the beaten path throughout the country. They also exist throughout most of Europe, Asia, and Latin America. Black Americans have never, ever had the full alternative economies enjoyed by other groups of people. However, one of the few good things that came out of Jim Crow segregation was the development of Black quasi-business communities. These quasi-communities were exciting places to shop, work, and socialize. Our segregated business communities were limited and could not compare with traditional ethnic communities, but they still provided us with the products, the services, and entertainment that we wanted. When I was a young boy growing up in a small town in North Carolina, our quasi communities were thriving. They had a rhythm, a life of their own. Every Black person shopped at the same grocery stores, the same drugstore, the same gas stations, the same shoe repair shops, the same coal and ice companies, movie theaters, and the same clothing department stores. We shopped in these stores not only because we needed the consumer products, but because we had personal relationships with the owners. On a typical weekend, most members of the community, regardless of their jobs, educational achievements, and political persuasions, would come into the business district and shop. On the weekends, that's what we did, go to town and shop. Our vertical chain of obligation was in good form. At the main grocery store where I worked, the store owner took pride in the merchandise and prices he offered his customers. Every Black person in this city shopped at the same stores. We did not drive no darn 30 miles to a mall in the suburbs to spend our money. Our local merchants depended on community customers for their business, and the customers depended on the store owners for their merchandise and service. We had a sense of community. Members of the community felt some guilt if they did not patronize the local businesses, just as many of the merchants felt guilty if they did not extend non-interest bearing credit and charity to those who needed it. Even though Black quasi communities have been long dead, ethnic alternative economies continue to defy pure economic theories and market practices. They survive because of the nature of their consumer markets. These ethnic business communities are built on mutual understandings, market loyalties, and vertical obligations, and give ethnic merchants preferential access to ethnic consumers. Black people often wonder how immigrant groups can so quickly establish communities and businesses. It is important to understand the strategies they use and to be able to compare behaviors. The most common tactic that Asian, Hispanic, and other ethnic groups use to build alternative economies and achieve competitive advantages in their community marketplaces are listed below. To build an alternative economy, ethnic immigrants accept low-wage jobs to get a foot in the door so that they can learn a business. They are acculturated to take business risks, pool their resources together, and start their own businesses. They hire members of their own families or ethnicity into their businesses. They harbor a strong group identity and sense of mutual dependency. They bank and borrow from their own families, their own people, and community lending institutions. They build alternative economies within their communities to supply jobs, services, and products for their own people. They use satellite businesses in Black communities as platforms to penetrate major markets. They conduct business with members of their own group first. Remember that one book, I think it was this book right here, said that they'll drive out of the way. They'll drive out of their way. They'll keep looking until they find one of them that's got what they're looking for. They use diversity and the minority label to gain access to and compete against Black people for resources. They use language, religion, and culture to mark and close their communities off. They build businesses and industries that use products that can be linked to their country of origin. They avoid being identified with Black people so that they can continue to benefit from dominant society's hatred for Black. For Black people. They avoid being identified with black people so that they can continue to benefit from white society's hatred of black people. Structural racism is a factor that applies to blacks that does not apply to other racial or ethnic groups of people. But many of the ethnic communal behavior patterns can be useful to incorporate into our empowerment plan and our action steps. Economics action step number 2, dominate business ownership and manage where black people are the majority consumer population. Since social democracies operate on a majority rules principle, learning to dominate businesses in areas anywhere a group is dominant in population should be one of the easiest principles for Black Americans to follow. Let me read that again. Since social democracies operate on a majority rules. Since social democracies operate on the majority rules principle, learning to dominate businesses in areas anywhere a group is dominant in population should be one of the easiest principles for Black Americans to follow. In Chapter 2, we strongly advocated ethno-aggregation as an empowerment tool. After Black people have aggregated physically or through a strong sense of community, they should then begin to dominate in business ownership and management. And this right here is a little picture. I'm going to see if I can read this out here. Union Bank Mortgage Company. And then Black Sports and Entertainment Agency. Okay. That's like I was saying about the hair care structure and stuff. Well, right here you got the Union Bank Mortgage Company. Then on that side you got Black Sports and Entertainment Agency. Then right there you got the African American Manufacturing Incorporation. Then right here you got hotels and restaurants on each floor, I guess. I don't know how it is, but that's like, everybody together, building a Black alternative economy. But the difference from what I was saying in this right here is that it was all the same. My example was about hair, but it could be about anything and stuff. People would still be going to buy from each other and stuff, Everybody would be going to the mortgage, the Union Bank. Everybody be going to the Black Sports and Entertainment and say on their way home from work, on their lunch break, and stuff like that. Black people are the dominant consumer population in numerous economic sectors, but are conspicuously absent from business ownership. Although human beings are basically the same, Black people do have different tastes and spending patterns from white people. These differences in our consumer patterns represent excellent business opportunities for Black entrepreneurs. Where Black people are the dominant consumer, they have a competitive market advantage. Black people make purchases that are disproportionate and exceed white purchases by 2 to 5 times in the following areas. As far as clothes and accessories, watches and jewelry, consumer electronics, and the hair care products, used cars, theater tickets, intracity mass transit services, cosmetic products, certain foods, leather goods, children's footwear, athletic shoes, certain brands of cigarettes, and Scotch liquor and certain other alcoholic beverages. So we buy 2 to 5 times more than white people do. And I was just thinking in the area of theater tickets, we would go to the theater sometimes multiple times a week, where you would be buying it every time you go. Whereas with white people, just get the subscription, pay it one time, and you go all year. I can see how we would end up purchasing 5 times more. And then like our hair care products, you need your hair care products almost every day. But yeah, let's read. If Blacks had an economic part in manufacturing and selling these products, and communities would buy from Black merchants, businesses could be built and sustained around these items. Unfortunately, white people and other ethnic groups take for granted that Black people have no options but to go into non-Black communities to buy products. Meanwhile, it does not seem to matter to Black people that whites and other groups boycott Black businesses. Blacks can begin to build an alternative economy by buying from Black businesses the products that they disproportionately consume. Doing so will not only immediately create new market opportunities for Black entrepreneurs, but it will also begin to redirect our $500 billion consumer revenue flow back into our own communities. Doing so will not only immediately create new market opportunities for Black entrepreneurs, but will also begin to redirect our $500 billion consumer revenue flow back into our own communities. Our neighborhoods are untapped consumer markets in which we can practice group economics. If Black America does not learn to protect its communities, its institutions, its culture, and its businesses, the unending influence of immigrants will completely submerge Black America. In time, even the resources that it does own will be used against Black America. To implement this strategy for an alternative economy, the first step is to study our neighborhoods and determine if and where Black businesses would have a competitive advantage based on Black population, political control, consumer spending patterns, cultural identification, or control of resources and markets. We must envision the opportunities that could exist in a vertical order of obligation, then boldly seek to establish industries in those areas. The nature of racism itself can facilitate building Black businesses and industries within Black communities. Racism is designed to exclude Black people. We can take advantage of this by making excluded Black people and their communities the primary market for businesses. Black people have a separate culture and a separate living pattern than white people. Black businesses are already aware of the consumer interests and needs of Black Americans. If they would gather the resources, produce the product, then market their products in every Black community across America, the POWERNOMICS vision will work to condition more people to buy Black first. 36 million Black people represent a prime market for vertical business opportunities. Baby, your daycare gonna need a kitchen. Your daycare gonna need a kitchen for breakfast, lunch, dinner for the babies, your workers, your staff, your mail, who bringing your mail, delivering your mail and stuff. You're going to have people coming, bringing in supplies and equipment that you're going to be needing and stuff. Yeah, that daycare, that first floor, you're going to have your kitchen on it. You're going to have your library on it. It's going to be huge. Vertical integration. We can go to the top with all of everything. We need all of our necessities. It's going to need stuff. It is going to need stuff. You're going to need a business in there where a laundry. You're going to need a laundromat in the daycare. Not a laundry room. I'm saying a laundromat in the daycare. Somebody might have a little shop set off to the side in the daycare. The cot broke. The repair. The cot broke. The swing ain't swinging. I don't know. I'm just saying the swing ain't swinging. Yeah, you sitting there pushing and stuff, taking on over there to that shop and that brother fix that twine off in there. That's all it is. That twine done got loose. And brother gonna take it apart, tighten that twine up. He gonna oil it down or something and let it dry for a few hours. Come pick it up in the morning for the baby get here and be ready to swing. And yeah, and let him fix that twine in there. He put it back together and be so smooth and quiet. And you be like, darn, is the baby swinging? Is the swinging? Yeah, it's swinging. You see it out the corner of your eye while you over there, loading up dishes on the cart and stuff so you can take them to the kitchen upstairs. I mean, you got a kitchen upstairs that's feeding and stuff. I'm just saying, all of this, the ideals, they coming now. Whatever it is, honey. Yes, baby. Black America, you can do this, honey. You can do this. I know you can. The way you built, I'm so proud of the way you built up Black Wall Street in a couple of decades. After everything you've been through, honey, you can do this. Ethno aggregation and vertical integration. If anybody can do it, Black people can. Show them your power. Show yourself. Show the world your power, baby. Don't be scared of nothing and nobody ever again. Woo! Mm. Oh, honey. We must envision the opportunities that could exist in a vertical order of obligation, then boldly seek to establish industries in those areas. We must envision the opportunities that could exist in a vertical order of obligation. I'm just saying, maybe you don't want to have no kitchen in your daycare to feed the babies and stuff. Maybe you want to have an outside bodega. I don't know. I'm just saying, the nature of racism itself can facilitate Black businesses and industries within Black communities. Racism is designed to exclude Black people. So let's apply. I went back there. I know, honey, baby child. Let's apply our principles of dominating in business wherever we dominate in population. There is no better example than the Black prison population in America. Though we are reluctant to profit from the suffering of our people who are in prison, we have no choice but to offer the best services and products that they could possibly get in prison. Others already profit from Black people in prison. Crime and incarceration are areas that demonstrate the principle of creating businesses where we dominate as consumers. Black Americans are only 12.4% of this nation's population, yet we dominate the prison population. Out of over 2 million prisoners in the United States, Black people make up approximately 50% of that population. During the years that ought to be the most productive of a young Black man's life, between 20 and 35, nearly 40% of all the Black men are either in prison, on parole, or on probation. Black people ought to dominate in the management and profit-making aspects of the criminal justice system. We can use those profits to help staunch the flow of Black men into the prison system. Various levels of government spend billions of dollars annually on the purchase of materials, equipment, and supplies for prisons, such as sheets, blankets, bedding, shoes, uniforms, not to mention the commissary, the high-ass commissary, a TV, a little black and white TV, $150 goddamn dollars and stuff like that. But yeah, they spend billions of dollars and stuff to have the material, the equipment, and the supplies for the prison. The average construction cost for each jail cell is approximately $80,000 plus another $24,000 a year to care for each prisoner. Prison systems spend more than $3 billion annually procuring shaving lotion, soap, and other toiletries for Black prisoners. Additional billions are spent on contracts to private corporations to manage prisons and provide health care. To help cover a small portion of these prison expenses, the federal government appropriated $28 billion in the 1995 Omnibus Crime Bill. Additional billions are spent on contracts to private corporations to manage prisons and provide health care. However, they let so many of our brothers and sisters suffer and be injured and tortured and just torn on and forgotten and neglected while they in prison, like Hardell Sherrill, who had Graves? It wasn't Graves. I forgot what he had and stuff. And that's where sometimes your organs and stuff, you can't move, you can't swallow, you can't walk and stuff. Your body go through this and stuff. And they let him suffer and die and didn't give him any treatment and stuff. Didn't even be concerned about it. Have no concern over him and stuff. Yeah, all of it's just anti-life. Everything is anti-life. And we the ones that it's wrapped around. So yeah, we got to get out of this. Since Black people are dominant in the prison population, Black businesses should also dominate in contracts for prison construction, management, suppliers, and professional services to prisoners. Black businesses should be allowed to establish prison industries and benefit from cheap prison labor to manufacture products and provide services. Black businesses should provide workforce training to prisoners that they can use once they are released. Since Black people in Black communities are the victims of most Black crimes, the Black, just like white folks, are the victims of most white crimes in their communities. The Black communities, they should benefit from any wealth building that flows from the prison system. The practice of Blacks dominating where they dominate as consumers and in population should also improve prison conditions and reduce mistreatment of Black people. Number 3, economic action. Number 3, focus on wealth building and restoring the economic intent of the original civil rights laws. On September 29, 2000, USA Today printed an article about racial and ethnic household incomes hitting an all-time high between 1989 and 1999. During that period, the median income of Black Americans was below Asians, below white people, and below Hispanics too. The article indicated the income between. Damn, I thought I was getting a little closer. The article indicated the income gap between rich and poor was not getting wider. The article implied that even though Black people were on the bottom, they were not too far below Hispanics, so conditions were improving for everyone. What the article failed to address was why Black Americans were still fixed on the lowest income rung. More specifically, it should have addressed why Asians and Hispanics, 90% of whom have been in the United States less than 30 years, can have median incomes that are above and nearly double a Black population that has been here for over 400 years. There will never be a satisfactory answer to these questions as long as researchers and politicians continue to compare Black people with other groups, then conclude that the reason Blacks are still on the bottom is their own fault. Researchers have yet to analyze the race factors that make it possible for poorly educated immigrants to have better life qualities, better life opportunities than better educated Black Americans. Researchers have yet to analyze the race factors that make it possible for poorly educated immigrants to have better life opportunities than better educated Black Americans. Made me think about the studies they always have to do for reparations. Why don't they ever analyze that? According to the National Research Council, Hispanics only need an annual income of $3,000 to live in the same neighborhood with Black people who earn $40,000. Yep. Hispanics only need an annual income of $3,000 to live in the same damn neighborhood with Black people who earn $40,000. Ain't that some shit? $3,000. And they just roll right on up in the damn neighborhood, then start buying everything. Yeah, let's read. Comparing Black income and wealth to ethnic income and wealth is like comparing apples to oranges. Black poverty has been fixed over time. It is gratuitous poverty that was given to them by centuries of exploitation and exclusion. Yet, Black people are consistently lumped in with newly arriving immigrants who brought poverty into the country with them. Their poverty is typically eradicated with one generation. The 18th generation of Black poverty is accepted as normal and basically ignored. Every time Black poverty is pointed out as a problem, there's a rush to eradicate the poverty of newly arriving immigrants or to totally eradicate the poverty of poor white people. But nobody come out to eradicate the poverty of Black people. Just to mention that Black people are in poverty, people run out and help the other people. Yeah, run right past you and go to the other people. Throughout history, the prevailing belief is that you cannot deal with the low income and poverty of Black people until you have first done it for all the poor white people. Even black civil rights leaders accept such a belief, and they would rush to help poor white people before they even help their own. According to Oliver and Shapiro, poverty level white people control nearly as many mean net financial assets as the highest earning black person, $28,683 to $28,310. Economic data of this nature is publicized constantly. The black civil rights focus is out of alignment. Why does black leadership focus on civil rights for everybody? Everybody except for black people. Why are black civil rights leaders now urging black Americans to help poor white people? Why? In the absence of leadership, it is imperative that black Americans become singularly devoted to wealth creation and wealth distribution in black communities. This means using all devices, especially local municipal governments and black organizations, to craft and promote ideologies and programs that enhance wealth building, whether through personal savings or simply by keeping money in black communities. A refocus of this magnitude must have a firm legal and philosophical basis. We must recapture the early civil rights concept and movement. As implied earlier, civil rights in the United States isn't what it used to be, nor does it reflect the original laws and legal precedents. Today, the term civil rights applies to the freedom and rights for all members of our society, especially minorities. However, that was not the original intent of the term. When the term civil rights was first used at the close of the Civil War, it referred to freedom and economic rights of black slaves as ratified in the civil rights laws of 1865 and 1866. The radical Republican sponsors of these laws knew that economic rights were far more critical to newly freed slaves than social and political rights. In 1865, Congressman Thaddeus Stevens framed civil rights as an economic issue, saying that black people could only be slaves or free. Without at least 40 acres of land, a mule, and $100 for an economic base, blacks would forever and ever be slaves. The black civil rights movement of the 1960s developed around the search for social and political rights for everybody, especially for minorities. It lost the focus on black people and black economics. The social achievements of the black civil rights movement are not without merit. It did help black Americans socially, but hamstrung blacks economically by one, diverting an economic issue to social and political goals. Yep, diverting our economic issue to social and political goals. We don't give a fuck about no social goals. Number two, making black people consumers instead of producers. Number three, focusing on the inequality of income rather than of wealth. Number four, encouraging them to be job seekers rather than job producers. Number five, espousing altruism for the world rather than group self-interest. And number six, ignoring public policies that made black people impoverished guests in America on our own land. Black leadership has a choice. It can lead a national movement back to the original intent of the first civil rights laws, or they can continue to engage in wheel spinning. They can continue to engage in wheel spinning civil rights issues that ignore the special needs and unique experiences of black people. It is predictable that many black leaders will not be able to change direction. You remember when I told you some readings ago that it's hard for us to change directions. It's hard for us to make the adaptations, and start over again with everything. I was talking about, our lifestyle, our inappropriate behavior, and thinking that we, our inappropriate behaviors. And one day when they called checkmate, possibly before they called checkmate, and white America lets their people know to assemble themselves, and they take off all the rainbow colors. Some of them gonna keep it on though, some of them gonna keep it on. So you still gonna feel some type of inclusion with your black ass. But yeah, when they give that sounding and stuff to reassemble themselves, you know, white people gonna go back to their natural self. Yeah, they can take off all the colors and everything and the high heels and shit like that. But Black America, you gonna find it hard to go back to being a woman, to go back to being a man. You know, you're gonna find it hard to do because we do everything with our whole heart. When I say wholeheartedly, I mean wholeheartedly. And it's gonna be very hard for us to do. However, other people know these things. That's why they set your ass up and sabotage your ass, because they know you're gonna go after any and every trend that's being set up out there. And they know when you go for it, you go all out for it. You put your whole heart, your mind, your whole spirit into it, and you make it your all in all. You make it your all in all. Yeah. And they done lied to y'all asses so much. Shit, yeah. Watch and see. I'm just saying, watch and see. You watch and see, honey. Yep. 50 years ago. Wait a minute, where am I? Oh, economic number 3. Yeah. Oh, we just read number 3. This is economic action step number 4. Counter the brain drain with businesses that aggressively attract black talent from schools, the government, and corporate America. If the mind is a terrible thing to waste, then Black America must stop the brain drain of its best and most talented people out of our Black communities. For centuries, Black parents have worked hard and dreamed of sending their children off to get a good education so that they could eventually get a good job in a white home, business, or a community. Black parents have been no different from white parents who also worked and dreamed of sending their children off to get a good education so they could get a good job. The difference is they wanted their child to become a business owner. Some of them did. But then a lot of white folks seemed like it didn't care if they were a business owner or not because they're going to get generational wealth. Where I'm from, it didn't matter if they were or not. We hope they would. We hope he will. But if he doesn't, he's got generation wealth. We'll take care of him. Won't we, Bubba? I'm just saying, you know, but I digress. The greatest difference between the parents is the way they perceive their children will put that good education to use. White people encourage their children to look within their own communities for business solutions and opportunities. It is almost inconceivable to think of a Jew, Asian, or Hispanic telling their children to get a good education, then go find a good job in a Black-owned business. Black people do not tell their children that either. It is very difficult to find whites, Asians, Jews, or Hispanics who have worked for Black. These groups wisely teach their children to use their training and skills to take care of their own group first. Yeah, see, when he said that it is almost inconceivable to think of a Jew, Asian, or Hispanic telling their kids to get a good education, then go find a good job in a Black-owned business. And then he said Black people do not tell their children that either. We don't tell our kids to get a good education, go get them a good job in a Black-owned business. We tell them to get them an education, go get a good job in the white man bank. Go on down there to Cub Foods and get you a manager position. It is very difficult for whites. It is very difficult to find white people, Asian people, Jewish people, or Hispanic people who have worked for Black people. These groups wisely teach their children to use their training and their skills to take care of their own group first. Since approximately 90 to 95% of all the white people and all the Asian people work for their own people within their own communities, Black people become the exception. Only 2% of all working Black Americans work for their own people within their own communities. There's no direct line between a professionally trained Black person and benefits to the Black community. The new industries and communities we build must be places that provide employment and ownership incentives for Blacks who want to use their skills and expertise towards the POWERNOMICS vision for the race. Our schools, our churches, and our organizations must join in the effort to instill value for creating employment and wealth building opportunities within our own communities to end or reverse the brain drain. The brain drain. Black organizations can help reduce the brain drain by fostering and promoting public policy incentives and practices that encourage and provide financial and tax incentives specifically to inner city Black companies that employ Black people. 50 years ago, nearly 98% of all employed Blacks worked in white homes, white businesses, and white communities. The story of Black domestic workers illustrates how Blacks have always used their intellectual resources for other people. There's a parallel in business. Domestics arrived before sunup to start fires and warm the homes of white families so that they'd wake and dress in comfort. Black people then cooked the breakfast. Then the Black people sent their kids off to school, washed their clothes, scrubbed the house, ironed the clothes, sewed the clothes, then cooked dinner for the white families. After feeding the family, cleaning up the kitchen, and putting the children to bed, these Black mothers would then return to their own homes after dark. Did anyone ever wonder, in all those years, who was taking care of the Black children? Who fed and washed Black children while Black mothers was taking care of white children? I would like to know who is taking care of the Black community and Black businesses today when nearly 98% of all employed Blacks continue to work outside of their communities in Black businesses or offices, in white businesses or white offices. To achieve the POWERNOMICS vision, Black businesses need Black talent, and so does the entire Black race. The entire Black race. I got to take me a break for just a minute here, and I will be back, honey, because this water I got to go in here and release this water. Just give me a minute, okay? I'll be right back. My glasses. Oh, I wish I could put on somebody for y'all making some Delta Black. But go get you some water too, I guess. Use the bathroom, get your drink, whatever you got to do. Honey. Hungry. I ain't ate nothing. I'm so hungry right now. Oh, but we really shouldn't eat till after lunch anyway. It makes for good fasting. It helped me along when I think like that. It's just fasting, face. Just drink some water. Dr. Chief, this sunflower, good day and gratitude. Good day. It is so good to see you. In fact, our money circulated nearly 3 months. They got jealous and bombed it. Yes. Yep. We got to shop us only. It's only about us now. We are prisoners of war. Reorigin of slavery next. I don't know. Dr. Chiefus, I found this in my library. I was thinking I'm going to read this next tonight during my midnight readings because it's a little different speed and stuff, you know, and it take a lot more processing. And yeah, a little more challenging for me and stuff. So I read that at nighttime and stuff. Yeah, you sure right. And I think I will go ahead and read that tonight. I'm gonna start that right there because I still want us to learn, me especially, what's wrong with us, why we can't come together, and I got to learn the depthness of this trauma that we've suffered. For me, I do. It ain't just so cut and dry what's wrong with us. This trauma cuts deep in us. So yeah, I'm gonna do it. Economic action step number 5. Establish solid root businesses within Black communities. Root businesses are those that are established based on competitive advantages within Black communities. Besides offering consumer products and services, root businesses are critical because they stabilize the community by offering jobs and employment training and revenues for supportive businesses and charitable organizations. Their identification with and location in the community will give them a competitive advantage as Black behavior becomes more self-directed. Many root businesses already exist within Black communities, but few are Black owned. They are usually owned by whites or Asians, and when sold, they are sold to non-Blacks. To develop Black owned root businesses, Black communities should establish a system to buy out existing white and non-Black owned businesses. Encouraging businesses to sink their roots deep in their own community is a very common practice in America. Whether it is Sears and Roebuck, Burger King, Kentucky Fried Chicken, or Jiffy Lube, business developers routinely construct and operate their first stores within their own communities. The same is true for ethnic immigrants. Asians and Hispanics open and operate businesses in their own enclaves first before venturing into another group's community. After establishing root businesses, ethnic businesses remain ethnic businesses. So that'll be like the root businesses. I would think that would be like the hair shops and stuff, but it wouldn't. It would be like their money lending, their payday, or you go and the credit unions that they got in their communities. Eventually, they move them out into other communities and stuff. And you can't go in there and get no loan or nothing, but you could take your card in there and swipe at that ATM, and they're gonna get a cut out of that because it's what, $4.95 every time you swipe your card. So I guess that would be like a root business to me. I'm learning myself. After establishing root businesses, ethnic businesses remain ethnic businesses. They don't change. Asian restaurants and cleaners remain Asian restaurant and Asian cleaners. The Jewish deli remains a Jewish deli. The Arab carpet businesses, they remain identifiably Arab. Where are the root businesses that Blacks established that they passed on from one generation to the next? On the other hand, Asians have even learned how to use government contracts to develop root businesses. Asians are automatically eligible for the Small Business Administration set-aside program because of their race. According to the Wall Street Journal in New York City, Asian share of SBA contracts has soared from 3% to 64.1% in 10 years, y'all, while Black people get less than 18%. Though over 90% of the Asians have been in this country less than 30 years, and they have the highest median family income in America, they have devised methods to pass on their certification status to succeeding generations of Asian businesses. While they are accomplishing these feats, Black Americans, who the SBA program was initially designed to help, now get the smallest number of awards of any of the so-called minorities, and they are forced to officially graduate out of the program by the end of 7 years. Ain't that some shit? Wow. Since integration in the 1960s, most Black entrepreneurs seek to economically pass by opening their businesses either deep in or on the fringes of white communities so they can hide their Blackness. Key personnel in these passing Black businesses, managers, receptionists, and sales representatives are often non-Black. According to a researcher at the Minority Business Development Agency of the U.S. Department of Commerce, approximately 90% of the successful Black businesses within the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area were located on the fringes of the Black city or in the surrounding white suburbs as of 1996. Black businesses that economically pass are in double jeopardy. Not only must they have their true identity, but they must also depend on white America for their resources and their market opportunities. Because their roots are not with their own people in Black communities, they are vulnerable to white boycotts. Throughout history, Black businesses have often failed because they were boycotted by whites who resented Blacks' success. Now that integration has failed, Black Americans can begin to show a new attitude and less tolerance for this abuse. They should establish within their own communities an economic base from which to compete and survive before venturing into anyone else's community or country. Think for a moment and tell me what is wrong with this picture. Now, when you go into hotels, stores, restaurants, or any other business in Asian, Hispanic, Arab, or even white communities, you can count on the management and the working staff to be Asian, Hispanic, Arab, or white, the same as the community itself. But in Asian, Hispanic, and white-owned businesses in a Black neighborhood, the staff will still be Arab, Asian, Hispanic, or white. Establishing root businesses means that the management and staff in businesses located in Black communities should be predominantly Black, regardless of who owns the business. If that is not the case, Blacks must insist on a change if they expect to have an alternative economy that they can control. Economic action step number 6. Construct vertical businesses and industries that control all processes from raw resources and markets within and outside of Black communities. It is physically impossible for Black people to compete in every kind of business in every community. We will have our greatest impact if we exercise vertical involvement primarily within those businesses in which we have some competitive advantages. Vertically integrated businesses translates into industries. We should seek out key industries and strive to create a monopoly. A monopoly through vertical integration locks out competition. Vertical businesses can control markets, resources, research, and other complementary activities. The competitive advantage remains whether the businesses are local or national. Black businesses must also be vertically organized in production and horizontal marketing. Once a Black business or industry has succeeded in building a vertical industry in one Black community, it should then spread horizontally across the country into other Black communities until it has taken control of all its home markets. This vertical movement, followed by horizontal penetration, allows Black people to establish closed-loop production and marketing networks for the private use of Black businesses. This happens in the mainstream business world every day, y'all. For instance, more than 40% of all the United States exports and nearly 50% of its imports do not compete in an open market. Instead, they move through closed channels. Japan does the same thing. So if closed loop production and market channels are good enough for the big boys, why shouldn't we have our channels too? The challenge to Black people is to build and control their own community markets and the products that pass through them. This means Blacks need a variety of business communities such as manufacturers, suppliers, distributors, technology, marketing and retailers. These business communities can link and serve as conduits for moving products, capital, and supportive services. For example, If black people build a leather factory in an if blacks built a leather factory in an enterprise and empowerment zone in Baltimore, Maryland, the factory and its supported businesses could be vertically integrated to serve as a national empowerment model and cluster. Distribution centers for the factory products could be established across the country. Retail outlets could be set up in malls, airports, and the downtown stores too. Our hypothetical leather factory can engender at least 3 levels of businesses that individually or collectively get together with other black manufacturers, distributors, and retailers to improve their business operations. This national network of business communities can increase the competitiveness of black people in business. For more information, see the National Reparations Plan schematic chart in Appendix B. Now, like to use the hair care or the daycare, let's use the daycare. To use the daycare model that I was thinking about, that's going to have the laundromat on one floor and it's going to have a kitchen on another floor. It's going to have a library, a small little movie theater so the babies can watch, Betty Before Egg, so they can watch the movies and stuff on TV, all about us and stuff. This right here be hiring us. Who else need these type of lessons? You see, this right here be strictly for black children. What black children need, the foods that black children need, the lessons and teachings that black people need. All of that will be structured for us. And see, instead of spreading it out here and there, we'll start in one community with that one daycare, with that laundromat in it, that kitchen staff, that library, that movie theater, whatever you need to have in there, that wood repair shop to fix little stuff that go wrong in the daycare and the other businesses and stuff. You might have a little small grocery over to the side so that way the kitchen staff can go down there and get what they need, and that grocery store right there is going to be like a food shelf, or, with a live garden in it, a garden in there and everything you need and stuff. Just imagine how you want to imagine stuff. And it's in that one community. Once it's up and running and stuff, and it's got black people working for it. No, we don't really want white people working in none of this. White people cannot be involved in this right here. I don't know. You got the testicular fortitude to let them know. No, we got somebody already in mind. We've already hired someone. Or no, we strictly building for ourselves at this time. No harm to you and stuff, but we are strictly building for ourselves. However, you can donate. You want to give some money, you can donate. You want to cut a check too, you can cut a check. But I'm just saying, for me, we ain't got time to be holding people's hands and stuff yet. You're just not welcome here for this right here. Not for this. And then after that, one community started in another community. Because then that's where we want to ethno-aggregate it, just spread like wildfire all across the country and stuff. Everywhere you look, you see a daycare with a kitchen that got a laundromat on the inside of it. I'm just saying, and with your hair shops and stuff. Everywhere you look, you see that hair shop that's got you go out from that hair shop, honey. You get everything you need. They don't know who came out. They don't know who came outside and stuff. You went in with an afro and came out with finger waves. I'm just saying. You went in with finger waves and came out with an afro. But everything you need gonna be right on. She didn't take nothing in but her purse. Yeah, because when you went inside there, honey, you went everywhere. You got what you needed. Get your service done for you. Yep. Ooh-wee. Economic action step number 7. Stop the capital drain out of black communities. In other words, buy black, but sell to everyone. Black America has a major problem. The flight of its disposable income into the pockets of racial, ethnic, and religious groups around the world. Black people have enriched every group except themselves. Without a sense of community and a vertical chain of obligation and no guidelines for how they should spend their money, no product or business loyalty in the marketplace, Black consumers are easily persuaded to be penny wise and dollar foolish in their spending patterns. They shop for the best price when, for a few pennies more, they can maximize the benefits of their expenditures to include the Black community and race. The few who are concerned about getting the best return on money spent or invested use too narrow a definition for measuring return. To achieve the POWERNOMICS vision, return on investment should be measured in its broadest sense, in personal economic as well as group socioeconomic terms. For every penny spent, the Black consumer should know what benefits the group receives in political, social, educational, and economic terms. Not only does our money go into the pockets of competitors, it comes back and is used against us. Black consumers ought to value reciprocity. Black consumers ought to value reciprocity and examine what they receive for the dollars they spend outside their own communities. And then he got a figure there. And it looked to me like they taking all the money and taking it to the white community, the draining of Black wealth and income. Black American spending patterns deprive them of their greatest potential for power, a flow of financial capital. The statistics we have used before paint the picture. We spend approximately 95% of our income outside of our communities. Only 2% remains in Black hands inside the Black community. We typically take that 2% down to the local white bank and deposit it in a traditional savings account. It is then out of our control, and we generally cannot even leverage it into personal or business loans. And then they use that money and they invest it. They use your money and make investments. Blacks often express bewilderment over how well white people live. They sometimes entertain out-of-town guests by taking them for rides through white communities to show off the expensive homes and wide array of retail businesses. The question is frequently asked, how can so many white people afford to live so well? The answer is easy. Besides having hundreds of times more wealth than Black people, they also have the advantage of living off of two incomes, 100% of their own money and 95% of Black people's money. While white people enjoy the economic power of dual incomes, Black Americans struggle to get by on the 2% of their disposable income, which is financially impossible to do without some form of government subsidies. While our spending patterns are inappropriate for the POWERNOMICS vision, while our spending patterns are inappropriate for the POWERNOMICS vision, the spending pattern of white people and ethnic groups demonstrate that they value keeping their disposable incomes within their respective communities. When European immigrants started to arrive into this country following the Civil War, the majority white society ceased purchasing services and goods from Black merchants and Black communities. Yep. Going back to when he said that the Black people that put their business, Black entrepreneurs that put their businesses on the edge of the Black towns and stuff so that they could be real close to white folks. As soon as white folks decide we ain't going there no more and stuff, it's a wrap for you. Same thing. When European immigrants started to arrive into this country, the majority of white society ceased purchasing services and goods from Black merchants and Black communities and started purchasing from them. White people transacted business with Black barbers. Previously, white people transacted business with Black barbers, blacksmiths, Black caterers, and Black laundries. They initiated conscious boycotts that, for the most part, remained in force to this very day. It should be a rare sight to see a white person drive to a Black-owned business in a Black community to purchase Black manufactured products. It would be a rare sight. While the purchasing patterns of Asians, Arab, and Hispanics indicate they too avoid Black businesses. Blacks do not consciously boycott Asian, Arab, or Hispanic businesses. Dang, I didn't even realize, but yeah, they all avoid our business. That's even more room for us. Yep. Our course of action is very clear, y'all. We should always treat other people and other groups the same way they treat us, not better and not worse. In chapter 3, we talked about reciprocity. You know that word, reciprocity, with businesses and building functional communities. It is also important in group economics. If businesses systematically boycott black businesses, black people should develop a systematic way to withhold support from them. If they refuse to hire black employees, black merchants should refuse to hire non-blacks. If they build and operate ethnic businesses in black neighborhoods, we should build and operate black businesses in their neighborhoods. Whatever we do must begin Whatever we do must begin with discipline in our spending patterns. We should identify those companies with whom we spend a disproportionate amount of our money, then compare that figure with the amount of money they spend in our black businesses. This comparative research should be the basis for establishing equitable relationships between white businesses and black people. Business equality is achieved when the amount whites spend with us comes close to what we spend with them. When an equitable relationship cannot be established, black people should invoke the new rule. Never treat any group better than they treat you. Black people should alter their spending patterns accordingly and avoid spending their money in any non-black owned business that does not treat us the way we treat them. This single act of 36 million black people withholding patronage would probably garner more respect for the black race than all of the marches, all of the riots and civil rights laws put together. Keeping black disposable income within black businesses and community would close the door to the capital drain. You know, we used to keep our money, we used to keep $1 in our community for like 11 days. Yep. Now we can't even keep $1 for 11 hours. Economic action number 8. Attract semi-finished products into black communities for value-added manufacturing, processing, and assembly. We almost done. I'm getting there. I got like 5 more pages, which is probably 10 together with both sides. Attracting semi-finished products into black communities is a way to practice group economics. Aspiring entrepreneurs need to be mentally conditioned to scour every possible business and community for products that black businesses can adopt, modify, and duplicate. Hundreds of companies build their businesses based on research performed by other people or by duplicating products first produced by other people. Copyright and patent laws are important to respect and follow, but most commercial products move through a cycle of constant modification and reproduction. Black entrepreneurs can become paralyzed sitting and waiting for the ideal opportunity to invent the single most needed and revolutionary item on earth. It's not likely to happen. Post-World War II, Japan is a good model of this technique. Although they received lots of financial assistance from the United States under the Point Four plan, it is easier to recover from a military loss than from centuries of economic exploitation. Japan did pull off an economic miracle within 20 years of World War II. With limited resources, wealth, and manpower, the Japanese traveled the world examining the efforts and products of industries in other nations. They took the ideas back to Japan and learned how to replicate and improve on what they saw in competing nations. They constructed their wealth and industrial base on a waste not, want not philosophy. They collected every scrap of material and recycled it into new products similar to those products in other countries. The Japanese produced products purchased by their own industries first, regardless of the cost and quality, because they knew their purchases would give their country's industries a chance to grow and perfect other consumer products. Acting as a nation within a nation, Black America can use its limited resources to replicate products the very same way Japan did. We have to become more productive, and there are numerous good models in existence. But the Japanese Economic Development Plan is one of the best for Black America. As Blacks begin to sacrifice to purchase Black-produced products, it should be motivating to know that the measure of progress in a people is not what they consume, but what they produce. Economic action step number 9, promote the competitive advantages of Black communities. Urban Black communities have excellent competitive business advantages. These black neighborhoods have good strategic locations, workforce, market demands, disposable incomes, little business competition, lands and buildings, and a great potential for high returns on investments. Until recently, there was very little interest in promoting black urban communities for anything. But times are changing for the better. As stated earlier, this nation has always had flourishing alternative economies and ethnic communities. Black people should similarly build and promote their urban business communities and the numerous building and business advantages. Inside of every urban black area, there is wealth. It is called infrastructure. It includes assets such as highways, bridges, museums, skyscrapers, expressways, mass transportation, sewage plants, water facilities, and electronic media. Nearly all of the majority black cities are located on natural waterways. The resident black populations have disposable income and represent a large labor pool. We can rebuild our neighborhoods into communities by using the competitive advantages of the geographical location, consumer markets, population concentration, human resources, and disposable income of black communities. Economic action step number 10, establish safe business zones based upon a code of conduct in black business communities. In chapter 3, we discussed how as Black America builds functional communities, it will need to establish safe zones. Safe zones are also important for black business communities. Without safe, without safe business zones, our business communities cannot bloom and flourish. Of course, in an ideal setting, we want an entire community that is crime free, but that's not realistic. So let's begin by protecting our new business communities and start enforcing a new code of conduct that spells out acceptable standards of behavior and is promoted and enforced by all segments of the community. The code should include creative means to challenge and punish those who violate these business communities. See chapter 3. Consumers will not become consumers will not become customers if they or their property are under physical threat. Safe business zones will be areas where these threats will not be allowed to exist. Increased business and employment opportunities for black people in the communities should be a positive incentive that reduces neighborhood crime. A major reason people steal is because it pays. In some instances, crime pays so well it is hard to control. But crime must be brought under control in black communities, and those who violate the new conduct norms should experience consequences. The community can use a variety of techniques to control crime. In the past, community groups have used such techniques as social and economic marginalization. Each community, or at least a critical mass of blacks, must decide what penalties to levy and enforce through the legal systems and other socioeconomic mechanisms. As soon as they are formed, black business communities should declare their independence through an economic bill of rights. Then they should mark their business turf as safe zones in which to do business. The political structures in various cities should endorse an economic bill of rights and allocate resources to build the safe business zones. Working together, governments and the communities can enforce sanctions from within and outside of the city and strengthen the social bonds between blacks and government. A special public safety tax can be enacted just to support police protection within the zone. The business owners themselves could pool funds for special security service, but the best protection will come from an active and committed citizens group that will simply just say no to crime conducted in their safe business zone. The safe business zone should be treated in a manner similar to smoke and drug-free zones with strong enforcement support. Even though increased incarceration will not necessarily reduce crime, legal sanctions should include municipal ordinances and laws that impose additional fines and penalties on those convicted of violating persons or properties within these areas. Crime-free areas would encourage new business development. It'll increase land values, and it will instill pride in black communities. Financial compensation from convicted offenders could flow back to the injured communities. Similarly, persons incarcerated for crimes committed in the safe zone should be required to work in some public service capacity in the same community where the crime was committed. The present high crime rate in Black communities is a gift from the integration process. The present high crime rate in Black communities is a gift from the integration process. It emerged with the breakdown in Black communities and Black families. As Blacks grow increasingly disenchanted with integration, as Blacks grow increasingly disenchanted with integration, now is the time to reclaim our Blackness and Afro-American culture, shore up our splintered families, and build Black business communities around our self-interest and our needs. Strict zoning within the safe business zones can anticipate and prevent unnecessary social problems. Land use and other zoning policies in the safe zone should prohibit mixing public services, residential housing, and religious structures. This will only be land for business. The public services and stuff like that got to be somewhere else. The residential housing got to be somewhere else. Churches and stuff, this is strictly for business. Economic action step number 11, amass vision, capital, and wealth through community-based financial efforts. Typically, the first question raised by skeptics of Black economic empowerment is, where would Black people get money to establish and operate Black businesses and industries and to practice group economics? No matter how committed we are to an economically empowered Black America, we must be realistic. Without investment capital, there will be no Black businesses or industries. According to Melvin L. Oliver and Thomas M. Shapiro in their book, Black Wealth, White Wealth, 61% of Black households are marginal, with the majority of their assets in automobile and home ownership. Our challenge then is to identify creative ways to amass capital to finance our own empowerment. Now, to the question asked at the beginning of this action step, where do Blacks get the money to start businesses and industries? They get it first from themselves. They forget with their annual disposable incomes. We must begin to save more of the little we do have. We cannot continue to be this nation's biggest consumer market. Of our $500 billion of annual disposable income, we are nearly 100% consumers and 0% producers. Consuming is a negative in a capitalistic society. Consuming means to use up or to exhaust. Contrary to the rhetoric of marketing agencies, consumer power does not exist in a capitalistic society. Consuming is a weakness. It is the producer of what is consumed who has the power, not the consumer. To amass capital means Black people must reduce their consumption and redirect their money into savings for investment purposes. In this step, we call on our experts in the area of finance and capital development to help us apply the POWERNOMICS principles to develop a national plan for Black people access to capital. This must be an organized effort. Our plan should be founded on the belief that to create Black wealth and political power, we must amass large amounts of capital. Controlling access to capital, which is simply surplus wealth used to produce additional wealth, is a major step towards collective enrichment and community empowerment. There are three primary sources of large amounts of capital: public markets, traditional financial institutions, and private markets. Public stock offerings provide corporate financing through open solicitation to the public at large. However, corporate public offerings must be approved and regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. This is a very important source of equity funds, but it is expensive, technical, and time-consuming. Most Black Americans are much more familiar with institutional lenders such as banks, credit unions, and community development corporations, CDCs. All of these sources should be explored in seeking depth and equity for entrepreneur projects. It is a statistical pattern, however, that a high proportion of Black borrowers are denied loans. You can borrow money, but you can't get a loan. To borrow capital from a traditional lender, a borrower must already have capital, surplus wealth, collateral, or other guarantors. Equity funds are scarce. Just like wealth begets wealth, poverty begets poverty. Black people must organize and operate their own banks, their own credit unions and CDCs and savings and loans. Venture capital firms and investment clubs. Where they already exist, support them and demand that if they are in your neighborhood, they support your POWERNOMICS community building efforts. Reparations is outside the traditional sources of capital, but it is a bill that is owed to Black people and one that we must present to the nation for payment. Reparations for Black people is no longer a far-fetched issue for parlor room discussions. It is now a necessity. Making restitution for damages is rooted in our legal system, and it has been used by industrialized nations as a mechanism to apologize for and correct institutional wrongs. Reparations payments for centuries of slavery and Jim Crow semi-slavery can take many forms. Government or private corporations can make restitution through such efforts as cash payments, land grants, educational scholarships, tax-exempt status, and free health care. Cash payments should go into regional development banks from which Black Americans could draw down equity capital for business investments. These banks should be established specifically to allocate those funds as vision capital for Black people. Funds should be used only for projects that promote the POWERNOMICS vision of a self-sufficient and competitive Black America. And I agree. I support that. Economic action step number 12, establish international economic alliances and working and marketing agreements between Black America, Black Africa, and Caribbean nations. While building its own competitive yet complementary economic structure, Black America should also play the lead role in constructing international economic alliances and marketing arrangements between the sub-Saharan African countries, the Caribbean, and the nation of Brazil. Collectively, these nations and Black Americans, as a nation within a nation, have a total human population of nearly 1 billion people. Yet, these billion Black people are all economically marginalized. They are forgotten people living in the shadows of all other human grouplings as a third world nation. As indicated in Table 5, Black people are consistently at the bottom of the barrel. The combined legacies of slavery and colonization left them severely impoverished, politically unstable, and ethnically conflicted to the point that they are vulnerable to and cannot respond to common natural disasters, can't respond to famine, can't respond to diseases, and the ravages of poverty. Within the next decade, the greater question will not be whether these poor Black nations can compete, but whether they will even physically survive. There's a direct relationship between pecking order, poverty, and powerlessness, and major health problems such as AIDS and other emerging diseases. Some scholars predict that up to half of the Black people in Africa may perish by the year 2013 if the devastation of AIDS, famine, civil war, and natural disasters continue on their present course. And that's see Appendix C. If this occurs, the natural resources of Black Africa will be up for grabs. This timetable fits in with the cycle of wealth, which by that time would have moved beyond technology to natural resources. At that point, there will be another rush to Africa to claim the resources just as whites did at the Berlin Conference in 1875. Black African countries, just like many other third world nations, tried a variety of tactics to break free of first and second world domination. Some tried nationalizing Western companies and land rights, setting up commodity and exporting cartels, subsidizing indigenous manufacturing to achieve import substitution, or campaigning for a new world order based upon redistribution of the existing imbalances of wealth. None of these tactics have worked to the degree that these black communities, none of these tactics have worked to the degree that these black countries could industrialize and move out of the third world category. They failed not because the ideas were bad, but because of opposition from leading industrial democracies, the have nations. The leading industrial democracies protect their vested interests from competition from third world and developing nations. The first and second world countries have all the trump cards. They use a variety of institutional devices to keep the smaller nations non-competitive and outside of the major commercial markets, like the monopolies we were talking about, the natural monopoly, the collusive monopoly, and then the shared monopoly that lock you out. So yeah, they use a variety of institutional devices to keep the smaller nations non-competitive and outside of the major commercial markets. As indicated below, in a global comparison of the wealth and technically trained people within nations, there are grotesque disparities between black nations and the rest of the world. The wealth and education gap between black and non-black countries is too great for them to catch up and compete on their own. Global success of black people is contingent upon many ifs. If black America can build functional business communities with industries, if black America can establish its own source of economic funding, if black America can link up a national network of black consumer markets, and most importantly, if black America can become the economic and political capital for diasporan blacks around the world. If all of those ifs can be managed, and all the black people of the world will be in a better position to ally with America's blacks and begin to work together to resolve our institutional dilemma. Only black Americans are in a position to lead the world's black population. And this was 20 years ago. In black America, you have not done it. You have not done it. As I said earlier, I seen some things and I heard some things, listened to some documentaries. Black Africa is taking the lead and the charge to stand up for themselves, because we have not taken the charge to stand up for ourselves. But we still got to stand up for us. Black Africa can't stand up for us over there. We got to stand up for us here. In my understanding of what he just said, it is because we are in America and we can influence how much assault and usage is being rained down on black Africa. All of these phones and shit that we got, and our people in Africa are suffering just to get the little bitty gold piece that goes into these phones, this motherboard or whatever it is. Your son understands the machinations of all this technology. I don't. I love the pen and the paper. So see, if we could get down, I don't care if it's one device per household. It might be one phone, one laptop, I'm just saying, one desktop per household instead of everybody having a cell phone, everybody having a laptop or a tablet, or you got your, your many devices. Little things like that. What we buy in America, all that chocolate I was talking about the other day in your 5-gallon bucket, you might want to put a little sweet treat off in there. Put a banana nut muffin off in there. Bake some banana bread. That's going to be the comfort food. That's going to go in the little, you're going to seal it up and stuff anyway. It's going to be gone in a few days anyhow. Instead of all the chocolate that we buy. And then I had read about the chocolate got so much in it and stuff. And there was a couple of them with Nestle, Lindt, Godiva, all of them chocolates right there. Do you know what our people go through to get us that chocolate over here and stuff? I don't even really care for chocolate like that. Here it is right here. But all these chocolates got heavy metals in them. It's got lead and cadmium levels. Your Hershey's, your Lindt and Nestle, Ghirardelli and that Godiva. And it said on the back right here, you can make your own chocolate. Honey, melt you some certified organic cocoa powder with some coconut oil and roll it in shredded coconut or some crushed peanut. And honey, there you go. You got your own chocolate. I'm just saying. But you're still getting the cocoa powder, but you're making your own. It's going to last longer. It's going to be more better for you. You're going to at least know you ain't got no heavy metals in it, you know. But cocoa do come from the motherland, I do believe. But I digress. Let's read. Only Black Americans are in a position to lead the world's Black population. They have the advantage of being within the United States. Just like I said, we right here in the United States. United States is the one that's rolling over Africa. United States is the one that's taking over Africa and taking everything. Well, of course, now 20 years later, you got other people that's got their fingers and toes in there too. But we right here in America, so we do have a way that we can sway things to our benefit and to Black Africa's benefits. There are more skilled and highly trained Black people here than any other major Black population on earth. But by every measure of wealth and human capital, Blacks everywhere in the world are on the bottom. Therefore, we must be on a mission and come together in an alliance for strength. And there go another graph he got right there. Black African nations are so far beneath white and Asian nations that their statistics are in the negative column. And you see it right there. If you can see it, I don't know if you can see that right there. But you'll see Africa's in the negative. I think it's over here. But you'll see right there. Africa is the last one. Africa is in the negative. Under everybody else. Africa is in the negative. The wealth gap is so great that it is a miracle that Black Africa can even survive, let alone compete. Only a glance at the maldistribution of wealth disparity in the world should point out the magnitude of the dilemma, as well as the impact of 500 years of slavery that denied them the opportunity to own and control wealth-producing resources. The burden of redistributing wealth will fall upon the shoulders of a Black economy to save itself and aid African nations. Therefore, Black dispersed people around the world must unify across geopolitical boundaries and forge economic alliances that allow them to collectively share and control resources, exploit mutual trade opportunities, and compete in the global markets. An economic alliance that allows Black people across the world to practice group economics must have 4 elements. It must have surplus capital. Number 2, it must have middle-class skills and professional training. It must have control over technology and raw resources. And last but not least, it must have access to political power. Black Americans are an advantaged group. They have 3 of the 4 required elements for an alliance. We don't have surplus capital. Is that what we're missing? We got middle-class skills and professional training. We got control over technology and raw resources. We got access to political power. We don't have surplus capital. Let's read. Even though their group position is less than other non-Black Americans, Blacks have some surplus capital. Oh, we got some. We have some surplus capital. We have an educated and skilled professional middle class, and we are politically situated within the most wealthy and powerful nation on earth. They have been marginalized in America by being denied ownership of and control of resources, but they can now play a lead role in an economic alliance that could lift all Black nations. If Black Americans could arrange to link the Black vertical industries and businesses in this country with the raw materials that come out of Africa, Brazil, and the Caribbean, and the 1 billion Black consumers across the world, the alliance would be powerful, y'all. No one nation has everything that is needed to become self-sufficient, but we all have something we can bring to make that delicious stew we spoke of earlier, that we can sell to benefit everybody. The low productivity in Black nations is traceable in major part to the fact that all other major population groups have economic alliances. The exception is Black people in Africa, America, Brazil, and the Caribbean. By grouping our wealth and financial markets, we can begin to compete for economic power. The European whites have a European common market. The Asians have the Asian Pacific Rim economic aliens. The Hispanics and non-Hispanic whites have the North American Free Trade Agreement. For maximum political and economic clout, Black America should practice Black nationalism as discussed in Chapter 3 and link their various populations and resources around the world. Through vertical integration and ethno-aggregation, Black Americans can exercise great control over our capital, our productivity, and our markets. It is important to restate that Black America must play the lead role in shaping and developing economic alliances, especially in African countries. It would not work in reverse. Afrocentrism would be a more useful concept if it came to mean Afro-American centric. Blacks in sub-Saharan Africa, Brazil, and the Caribbean are not only too politically and economically depressed and unstable, but major democracies would not enable them to become independent enough to compete. They could only compete as an economic aliens behind the safety and the stability of Black America. I told y'all asses. A lot of our people in the world can only compete and rise up behind the safety that we got. I know we ain't safe around white America, but that's inside the goddamn box. Get out of the box. Remember when I was telling y'all the Bible, well, y'all told me that the Bible said that the Bible's about us. And the Bible's about us, face. Jesus, we do know Jesus is Black. And I'll listen that. And the Bible gave you dominion over all the animals to protect the animals. And you were supposed to do it. And your Black ass didn't do it. Well, the same thing. You were supposed to, Black America, rise up and be that safety shield for our other people who cannot rise up. But let's read. Yeah, we almost there. We is almost there. I just had to say that because that resonated with my ass. They could only compete as an economic aliens behind the safety and stability of Black America. But time is of the essence because the wealth and status of Black America is so fragile and relative. Black Americans can use the empowerment tools of POWERNOMICS to develop a game plan to bring all the other Black nations around this whole world into an economic alliance that would allow them to compete worldwide. Now, the conclusion. The cycle of wealth begins with control of natural resources. The cycle is now in the information age, the age of information. The 12 action steps presented in this chapter reflect the new orientation of practicing group economics and should give Black people new ideas about how to benefit from the cycle of wealth and to take control of their economic future. Other group of people, they use their neighborhoods. Other group of people use our neighborhoods and population as resources to enrich themselves. They use their neighborhoods as a safety and prosperity and abundance and love and nurturing and food and wealth and health. But they just use our neighborhoods to come and get the resources and take it back. If others can become rich off of us, we must think outside of the box and redirect our resources to our benefit. This chapter provided guidance to community. This chapter provided guidance to communities, guidance to organizations, and guidance to individuals who wish to work toward fulfilling the vision of a self-sufficient and competitive Black America. We've made it, honey, baby child. We made it. I did want to go and read chapter 6, but honey, we'd have been here to 7 o'clock. But we did good. I thank you for your patience and your appreciation, because I know I can't stop telling you. I know how hard and difficult it is. So it took me a minute to sit and just listen to our scholars But now I'm getting better. I can listen to our scholars for hours and hours. I can wake up in the morning and put on Deborah Blur and listen to them all day. Bobby Hemming, I could do that. Dr. George DeGry. Yeah. But at first it was hard to do it. I had to just do it a little bit at a time. Because you know, them videos be like an hour and 40 minutes, 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. You know, some of them be going on and on. And it gets easier. I promise you it gets easier. But thank you so much. We did it. And I'm going to try to make it back tomorrow and do chapter 6 because I really want to get to chapter 7. You know, I really want to get to chapter 7. Help my people. Help us see what we ain't seeing this stuff. Honey, so much is going on in the world. I did not get me a bicycle. Add you a bicycle to your prepping for whatever the fuck finna happen. Black America. Add you a bicycle. If you gotta go real fast, you gotta go across town, get your baby. That's what they said. It made me, I was like, darn, yeah, well, I probably will have to go get a grandbaby or something. Let me get a bicycle. So yeah, I'm gonna get me a bicycle too. You might have to run up here and run there, you know. And then it was also saying, whatever may happen, your car may stall out. You probably can't get away on in your car and stuff, your truck. Get your bicycle. You can always get on your bicycle, honey, and ride your ass off, honey. You can weave through all them cars and stuff. Put your basket on the front and a car seat on the back. Yeah, a little seat for the baby on the back. Yeah, and you good to go and stuff. But what I was saying the other day was for the communication, we need that NOA weather radio, and it run off of batteries. But you know, that's why you also want to get a crank radio. I'm gonna go buy a thrift store. And I need to look for some new thrift stores. I bet they got some good, you know, old stuff I could use. Yeah. We'll see. But yeah, get your hand crank radio. That way it won't even need batteries and stuff. And you can at least pick up emergency broadcasts and you can be keeping everybody informed and stuff. And everybody can, you know, at least got to worry so much and stuff. I'll get you some whistles too to add to all your other stuff. But yeah, that's it. We finna go. And you know, to keep you some gratitude and keep a song in your heart. Yes, honey. Yes. Yep. I thank y'all so much. And it's so good to see you, Dr. Chiefly Sunflower. I'm growing some sunflowers too. It ain't but like 2 of them that's really hanging in there and stuff. But I'm going to go and maybe get me some, I don't know what I'm going to try this time. Put some bone meal in there. Oh, I need to get me some higher shells. I found one. And I brought it home, honey, cleaned it up, and I got it out there. Because everything is on the patio floor. And since I don't get a lot of sunlight over here, I need to raise them up. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to just work on my garden today, honey. And try to find me some more stuff to put in my pantry and stuff, whatever it may be. I might just come back in with some of them little thin aluminum blankets that they got. Keep the babies warm and stuff. But I love you. I love you to life and afterlife. Okay, and you have a wonderful day. Remember that sun is out there for you. Yeah, every time you go in the sun, it multiplies. It increases your mitochondria count.